Honorable Akwabana upon to saying,
oh, Yamia don't know here.
Official Panso.
I think I'm saying,
yeah.
Now, yet in Konabi Biayati. I shall see a setting.
Congratulations once again.
Oh, that's you.
Abra Sebu Boko.
Yamia don't know where
Nice.
I'm saying, if you are a minute or move don't I didn't get
okay.
Announcement.
Yes.
I'm actually crying about my son. But on my city, say, on my time at she, if he Bretintia, Beppins happy. When you are Pena, now go on the Amaya, yes, we are the Beboa. Am I ye dear Nuncle about Brazil?
Yeah. But personally, in terms of appointments, now what expectations be?
Oh, sir, Mrs. Susse, a your man Penino, and yes, your man a queen.
Yes.
Na Oyenetuma. Sir Cobas. Ordinary little from no who say, see me see an obenting. A sign nimdeɛ ne suahu bi ɔwonti no metumi ne na yɛ adwuma boa ama botaya esi me bi sɛ Ghana de tumpon no ayeye na ɔfrɛwa em sɛ ɛyɛ ɔsom ana wafrɛ sɛ bra na monka mom nsom Ghana sɛ bibi so nti enu wo so a menye ni sɛ sɛ ɔma na haw sɛ sɛ akwanya dodo na wɔ hɔ a betumi afa so aboa Ghana ma na yeye in fact sɛ ɔyɛ na hye bedwani a ɛno so yɛ adwuma hu hia papa. In fact, nipa do na kwa su se emra e show man penin se oyi minister do be fi parliament no kwa na se etwem se ne be ya na hye megafo no be de omho no ma ye adwuma agire aban no kete ahwe se o de pepe ye nkuntabu ye adwuma se empo no woni na hye bedwem na wa wo ya nkra wo ba obra obetumi aye ne ma be ya boa. Even wo amanyoko and this mu you can be a solid organizer betumi aye adwuma amanyoko no etumpon na yenya akwanya ebu oman na ye nti da very rules are nipa be play and nyankopon na ahyehye say na due so man pani mama empower na meka na soafo am some dey aseda me ma no e wonu nyama ode asem as far as I'm concerned yes a call to service the sana my imagine say me de beboa no na yetumi ebu oman ni.
What's your understanding of the role government communications minister of state overall office of the president?
Ani me oman pani kasa maf me spokesperson to the president.
Okay.
Abrana nomination in mind had to be active for obvious reasons. The CID has been confirmed. It's spokesperson to the president and a minister of state government communication. Can I have in charge of by in charge but they're the same thing. And I actually say, I tell this on mama. If you be a tintin, I'm so you Obekai. May name a deputy minister for information.
Yes.
And do not 30th of June, me could die. I did change, I'm sorry, you know. Send it now. Ebinom da ya na say ahomache trainer say release abase ya pa obinom so monye normal pini so na ebi abasa ahomache sa de bi ba me sorry na me minister for deputy minister for communications me nua mutala no no akoye deputy minister for trade.
Yes.
Na omampeni mama o wa adwenkyere bi se ehun hia se yenya aban krabata ebo aban n'enwuma ho dewuro na omani omanfo din kita. It's an essential part of public service because you must relate to nipa na wo bu oman no ewo mudin no. Na emom no so say ye hia the kind of system ni machinery we see how to do that. And na wi asesa. Nti se unya phone ba ko ne computer ba ko a wo betumi ni nipa dodo na edin kita. Nti osuso say ye hia sa setup no. Ye betumi aye sa de kro na aye papa class ne sa with a new arrangement. Ye benye nipa kakra no makɔhye mampani aso yase no mahwɛ saa eye abankra batano so. It is something that he has always had in mind. In 2014 there or the communications ministry but who say communication ministry on its own so no a major sector they are in charge of regulation of the broadcasting and events telecom space any management of the sector into one hwe na we no akodilute and asama omedwuma no abrom so into so safi de betumi nya eye baby kakra bia ebenya obi a oye osoafo enu nti obenya de boni fa ni weight obetumi ayese adwuma no e de aboa eye Ghana nti yeto aba ne wie na no nze me fie ke ba be ye 9th December
okay
ebedu ya de chinya na me saka nkra se memra na me kasama afoma eye
transition team
ene ja me dimu kakra na ja wato to ma no ne de bia tudwa na ya twiro bi ni aye keka nti no so me se de adwuma no ba wie ye around 6th January. Into 6 January on Ajono. Answer the Yaku yi speaker of parliament na ja mesan so nyankra efi ne ho say obese me ye ne kasa maf for sabre no
okay
and o ka kire me say obeye sa restructuring a waye minister of information be ko na akoshe presidency as
okay
was a minister of information your agencies
was
GNA
say
ISD publishing
sure
for budgetary purposes Ghana Broadcasting Corporation graphic communication any new times for budgetary purposes for minister of information na on budget but strictly speaking under media commission in fact they are actually SOEs graphics they are the media business but for budgetary purposes we report for them in TCI agencies all of them can operate from under the first thing the office of the president of course the arrangement is that over time ISD and to send it will restructure because they have to modernize more very good structures and systems. If I call district we are more district information officers now they play a very vital they be a make say one of the things that Adiaba could be BM some time ago first and now Mrs. say be cinema vans there was a day the core office number the file the other two maybe a file a report sir information officers are filing from the districts so I glanced through I chanced upon a report it prevented a major ethnic clash. I don't know. No, they can be they can be far more useful because some information even National Security didn't pick it up.
Oh wow!
Yes, some information officer no, because of his knowledge of the terrain in Kitangudi or Ninko one I pick his information. So I quickly alerted National Security and they averted what would have been a deadly clash. And see, I imagine I said, look, they can be of far more use. Since any if there is also no idea. But in the current arrangement, no, if I suppose in your film, no, because of resource constraints, maybe be almost any other. So let us restructure it. Now, you're interested to me, I'm a Neema, but the overall objective is that we'll get a lean and mean government communication system and machinery. We hear any part of the and say, a ministry, it means that you have to do a budget, you have to run the ministry at additional cost. A year, Sikasa, a bit me before. Such a presidency, I say you are limited because it is covered by other arrangements. It's Mahama,
from the work and meaning said. The department now under the office.
For now,
information
for now they will report to you.
They will report to you.
Yeah, they will report to me from now. But over time, they will find
They will find
some of them can be SOEs on their own.
Sure.
And they may go to SIGA.
Sure.
To assess you, so you don't have to report to
report
them.
To
see, a major restructuring to sharpen government communication, modernize it. Now, because I believe that
is it possible? So we would see Information Service Department now becoming Department of Government Communications.
Why not? Why not? But I like the name. It sounds flowery. So why not? You can always restructure it to suit modern times. They perform a very important function. But in terms of now, because of the lack of resources, any brow or more bread. Because of it, I think it's a new focus like this.
Meaning, from the list about Homachino, meaning, Shamima Muslim,
deputy. Yes.
Okay.
I am deputy.
Okay.
Because the truth also is that a huge responsibility. Because once you see, I know, may manage presidency communication. I'm speaking on behalf of
the president.
Presidency, I guess, is a huge. In fact, what kind of office of government machinery it's a huge enterprise. And so because of who he is, he is a preeminent citizen of the land. They say, and also here certain communication services I have to offer this. And then there's general government communication, which means that I have a coordinating a buying crabate beer in Gitapudi. So a new Kuma and a damage was but your main charge here, at least since 2005 or so, I've been involved in this communication business, right through party to this level. Masaba Bemu. At least 4 years straight of managing government. In fact, for some reason, me call Minister of Information first, 2013. Now, on about Yaragana Yeme boss information minister. But delegate government communication team management. And I used to chair the government communication strategy group. And now me managing government communication. So as now, you Minister of Communications, Dr. Mane, at this side. It's only a So I've garnered significant experience in what to do.
I was saying because managing the entire government comms near big, you know, we may probably see sectoral spokesperson.
They exist already.
Okay.
In fact, ISD.
Okay.
Tony Goodman, never heard him say, "Oh yeah, ISD stuff." Even though he's supposed to be the PRO
for health ministry.
Yeah, tell me say, "Ejamu kohwa." Esa say, "Hono, sebi bibi kakra wo sing."
Yeah.
ISD na omako. Hey, there used to be a gentleman called Utabel. I don't know so that's what.
Yeah, Utabel, Bank of Ghana. You're called Bank of Ghana.
I don't know whether it's Okwa. But no Western House.
Oh, okay.
And these are very sharp guys.
Okay.
As we hear any information on this, they will give it to you. And Tony Goodman, so you very sharp guy. So people like that are already in the system.
Okay.
They've garnered experience over the years in T.
With specific ministries.
In fact, almost every major ministry has that. There are some as prominent as others. Probably because of the way our sector meets. There are sectors that are not true. Why you're quiet. We say we won't compare in terms of news and won't send any and there are places where you're hot by virtue of money, health ministry, finance ministry, education ministry, education. There be some also. And people like that already exist. There be a seen to one. Why not? We can always augment it with new.
You'll be deploying guys
because
ministries.
It will be impossible for one man to be speaking for everybody. Especially when there's also the.
But these are only civil servants.
I had before a civil servants.
In the emphasis will be your health ministry. Now. Or a civil servant, but the manager of government comms fees are same way. Was see a can say, meaning you have to pay all of them in line.
Civil servant they report to political leadership, and answer. Chief directors from my minister they report to the minister, so there's no problem with political direction. But you have to take direction from political leadership because Ghana for and Susu say Obi party
and
Emra so no be didn't Ghana for agia to say na share ne Susu and I say you mind so amount direction you that but some servants no omutim wo afebo nti obi aba they will take direction from the person. There's no difficulty with it. So and I have experienced and encountered them. Some of them are very pleasant people. In fact, one of the things I did those days and I built an extensive network. I established relationship with some of the non-communication related personnel in the ministries. There was a gentleman then Ampuman Cancer. No health ministry. He was in charge of the infrastructure. The reason why sometimes it may come infrastructure is because I had people like that. In Shemubia he will give me very, very affable people, nice to work with, pleasant people, highly qualified professionals. We call energy ministry, we call finance, and so all these people exist. And because they know what they are about. There are also other agencies by virtue of sending they are going for people PR. And not higher. And to make us be a communication consultant. It is simply because of the nature. Finance ministry, you need a certain when they say gravitas. So when you're in Humubi and sign away to me. Because I want some no, it is technical. There's a certain level of understanding of what they do. What energy ministry so and some to some extent even education because there are a lot of technical functions you must appreciate and some way to me in those places you may have situation that they may engage professionals outside of the structure and there are large SOEs GMPC almost here a certain level of continuity all of that will be considered when fencing drawing
up what we saw under the SRL administration and they said apart from the information minister and the deputies no more government spokespersons for some sectors.
President Gofon is starting. But in fact those days near the bomb now government spokesperson on the economy.
Na Kwakye
on social sector and more on infrastructure. Infrastructure what say spokesperson infrastructure that was what you say. So but sectoral spokespersons in themselves I don't think that's bad because I remember when you couldn't so people must be accountable. One of the ways you are accountable is I say will be a wap not to it is a obi we yanchi will be you know who to call. So my friend was me now bentia. My friend on the good man health ministry. Obey to me, I'm not saying something. Yes, I'll be the different stone wall. Bibi cause of pan so obi aka na no atum. And Sanya tin so say wonni ntete ne nimdie wo ho ahwe ya na wo de ohawa bre your friend saying edwumako no obi wo a owo nimdie pa wo edwuma no owo brilliant technical mind but say wo de asamo ba na obi sa na asamo ahwe asamo obeka no it may damage the reputation and image of that organization. So we hear you ni edwuma ne and san wa fa the role of such spokespersons, you know, is extremely important, especially in a modern age. Information is more readily accessible than before. Inti answer na wo be chira semu no. Say enya no kre na wo kan nipa ni be hu because they may have alternative sources. Ebe be atwam na kan person nka press statement ya me issue na amachi and nka me ntumi nye because say me printing the physically na wo be me the abrew. But the be letter head so abo serial number. Ansana me the abrew na ade achi an waka ana say me ba be to ha mbachi na mapacha wo say o mesre then we move to a system now you have to send email into a long list of recipients omo wo email
copy them
what yeah I know bia so I'm not on your list I'm not on your mailing list no complain dey bia so you sure say ade no dey naka sisi ya social media what dey ade to ho within 5 minutes it goes global obi ate intama enema the sun into no I was saying yes sun
reflecting the
and remember do na no omo hwe TV ntie radio minim say we program ya gidi mpa but you'll be surprised to hear maybe 18 to 25 year olds swear say omo to program that
sure.
They don't know that your program exists. They are not they are simply not interested. And on kire say nipa ete sa no I was say ya omo kwa omo so hia say omete abansem and ombe hu ne yekoso. So how do you reach such people? By deploying modern trends. Inti restructuring na present ma ya na hu hia e ade a ye be hu so inti omama so te say opese meboa I was am so ya sem papa. It is something that I'm used to have done over the period. Inti me to me e de ma hu odin kakra aboa ama na wie peye.
But because again you would also be in charge of his communication inti him say so be a presidential spokesperson. Meaning so ordinarily maybe your man penny nambia was also
yes, that is true.
And you have a constituency
that to manage. If I know why it complicates matters, because you MP. Internet make say mako parliament akoye adwuma kakra. And I'm mako flash staff as akoye adwuma. And I'm saying because I must also step out to engage people like yourself because I know so okay adwuma. I must speak on behalf of government, explain issues to you. I must make government accessible to you. Enye adwuma kitwa na dam so ba me susu say finance minister. In fact, I don't know anybody who is busier than the finance minister of any country. Or how the finance minister so nyase but no cry to me call parliament ekoye adwuma ekonu consequence adwuma why should I make any excuse say nti me nyini say be me kwan the SMA ya ne say me cheche me bremu yi nti ye bia my social life may suffer which is fine I say it's okay
for God and country
and how the here ne say adwuma dia hye me sa no me nti me che me mu me che adwuma ne mu yi na me nya kwan kakra ama obia na yetumi ahwe ama nyema akoso
okay and yen say the real win. I think congratulations once again. I think you thoroughly deserve this position. It would support in any way we can. Na Ejumanen sweating me akoso. But number one, in Kwanta the Ekoso. I mean, say National Security Coordinator call honne.
That is true.
Feedback ben our Magana for.
Say Mandiano.
Yes.
But that's why I didn't call it National Security Coordinator because he himself wanted to hint me about what was happening. Many Kasama watched him say, Osusu say, at least preliminary investigation said there's some at least 3 to 4 year old chieftaincy dispute.
Okay.
Okay. Ebrano, Mr. Fachami. Ebrano, now man of Meso. Until that may have been triggered by something. Until Nona, Akofasa, or how Naba, until Onyan and Pepe. In fact, he had been appointed barely 2 days before. And to know your mentions on your baptism of fire. I say, we yamre egality, the Democrat sana, but sana humanity. Into Oblifi and say he had immediately ensured say there's some deployment of security personnel, a combined team of police and military personnel to restore camp.
No, buy on YouTube, I will be video no. Where and the National Security Coordinator and Kasako, Abdul Razak Osman. A point one now, what dress say our church soldier for.
It's Asanso can say over time they would beef up the security personnel. In terms of no okay. It's Asra for it gives confidence to one quanta say a buying. Etu anamwa ya pese ye hwe na ohawe wo no anobrasi. I think it's a fundamental so additional steps would have to be taken. Say what is causing the problem no we deal with it. I think some mediation efforts would have to take place. We have to engage stakeholders to ensure say no adjo form say na be ya nipa ho no betumi nyom tie didim no ma ye adwuma ahwe mo ho ahwe mo busa nti I think inquantation is under control significantly menya nti e boni bia sense national security coordinator and penny for because at the time when you interior minister, you need defense minister, but so he had to take this on a national security advisor and the heads of the various security agencies. And I think they've done a good job so far. There's some calm in Nkwantazi and just say over the I think the thing started around Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Yes, this is the from the accounts that we are getting. Yeah, and
in a related development, so you're Obuasi.
Yes.
A also report Ben Amosis here.
And I'm the only medium. And also by Apnos. In an NTS, a Mebnubi, a Kotosh, a year, I'm good Ashanti for mine, you almost say. Only 2 Mugo de year that almost say, assassinate on an animal, and says almost Quina, a Koyebi. And only been taken by. Into Yasha and Nanny Pam watching Ashro Monka. Internet, a year. I am just some pie in my mind. Yes, something and yes, sir, assembly see in nation, and maybe no one also a one. Now, almost to say, Omonfa will be Ashramon Kwakye and from my council. Thomas will add your manager, Monsa, a year, Mons and Patra, a year, or yet, I may be she cast Nadia. Until now, a Kwakye Yamanu, there was the incident itself. And the passion and crown. There was a buying it to one more. And after never was a buying to one among. In Tampana na your shots are how na nkwankwatre chance mebunu bufu na went to me enya bibi pabi anya wo it can lead to very disastrous consequences. Into the first order of business ade na dikaels ye yan say makrum hodo nti no so national security coordinator in penny for ekambo mu ehye then number 2 then we have to look into the incident because that incident in akofa sa am tana na me no di nko yes issue statement say kwesiada enyumre na a assemtiawa edikan no I was say yet the akoso nase what has happened yen to me nyina nkra ne mu tutum kra ne a woman say Anglo Gold Ashanti issue statements e kan side am me maka kire wu e na Ghana force so e de bi bai say omo mema e ko say omo kobo eye edwumayefo ne ejapade e won no bai no emanche ni bi atutu bo ntina wo se omo so eye yo meye na ometumi etwetwa age omo eno de kofa owo no bae ba me ka kire wanura say ye ntumi enye sansem mienu no enfant wo say assembly fire by and I said the puma sibra no. And in fact you were the one who drew my attention say you are speaking to
one of the guys who escaped
and also was making a very serious allegation. In fact allegation was very serious. What he was saying is that they surrounded because e bia na omakoka ntokachine ya eburo so omusu say bibi edu no ye happen nti mama yanya boko na ye ho ankoka they surrendered and yet asrafo asanitu egu omusu kom. That is extrajudicial killing. In fact it is perhaps the most serious crime you can commit. Send the panel chese we buwa no kum for ekuno. That is what it is. That's extrajudicial killing. Into that it is a very serious allegation about that we engage. Into aban ye say pano try no say trust akoye afam yensa na obi e candidate aban ye ntem nyine we don't have a specific interest in the case beyond protecting life and property and ensuring say Anglo Gold Ashanti for enya asomdwe e de ayo medwuma na aboa o man no nti the LCA ye say we must immediately commission investigations answer na no be koso no na aban paying for now let me commend the national security coordinator. He has had a baptism of fire but he has conducted himself as a seasoned professional. Answer na aban able issue statements now we engage stakeholders including Chamber of Mines
in Obuasi.
Exactly. Any Anglo Ashanti management, any mebuno no. There were also some opinion leaders, any influential persons, Omonti Obuasi. They live elsewhere in Ghana, but they were quickly mobilized. So Omonem Ranti and Mekasa because Omuti Omase. So that a hono aye form na buying etumenya kwenya aye. Internet was say and which no afi we must commission investigations to unravel what has happened. Then they supporting e no kre say Ranti ekwoto she Anglo Gold for so say omochire mu na e no kre say eno no pinte by ma obi kɔto tuo masrafo no so de anu yie ba ma kɔ fa sa o yɛ mba ya na sɛ ɛbɛde de sɛ no kra wobɛhu sɛ ne obebu anafa sɛ ɛyɛ no kra so sɛ emrantie no ɔma anye basabasa yɛ bia na emom no ɔmo de ɔmakode to hɔ ɛna asrafo no still a ɔmo bɔ mutu a ɛno so yɛ asɛm foforo sɛ ɛno so yɛ ka na emom sam prempren no tensions were high na ebufuo kɛseɛ pa aba ɔbo ase man nti aban susu sɛ ɛwɔ sɛ nimanim yɛ ano ɛyɛ hu biribi in some circumstances nka aban bɛka sɛ man no kra montum for now sɛ ne ɛbɛyɛ a sɛ mo nyɛ adwuma a sɛ bia nkɔyɛ ebufuo ma man no ana kuro no nti montum but yɛhu sɛ yɛtum wɛ de ɔha bɛba because ɛbɛyɛ affect angofoɔ ɔmo production timelines ɛna sikasɛm ebetumi ayɛ ɔha wa ma ɔmo nti sɛ ebetumi ayɛ ho biribi wɔ abro ɔmo ntum a I think sɛ ɛbɛboa yɛ nyinaa nti nsusuya ba sɛ ɛne they should just extend a hand of friendship and olive branch to emebru ni bi ɛwɔ ɔboase no mu sɛ na ɛbɛyɛ ɔmo bɛdwo kakra yɛtumi aka asɛm no ɛne ne yɛka yɛ amanfoɔ sɛ yɛbua
mabua
angogofoɔ no ɛna sɛ ma wɔ nra analogy ma nra wo nyame mpangu wo drive it na wodu baabi na obi ebe cross in a bia oni sɛ ɛso twem if as a traffic light aso green emrem na ɛsɛ wo yɛ pedestrian na wugina na car no ko na so wa cross aba bra we hu na de bona sɛ asɛm ne si a wo misa sɛ ɛyɛ ne mfomso ana ɛyɛ wo mfomso your ultimate responsibility is to ensure sɛ nipa saa to yɛ nkyɛm na to no ɔnhwere ne nkwa nti bia obetumi ayɛ wɔ ho no wo yɛ ekyire kra na police obetumi ade sensan information sɛ hwan na ɛyɛ ne mfomso na bia ɛsɛ ɔmo de to no ɔmo de ato nti yɛ no susu sɛ angogofo tumi yɛ saa de in terms of helping omo eprano with medical cost and afi omo ahwe omo nkwa no omo yiyem ni ade no kaso ye beboa kakra it is going to ensure say tensions na brass at least kromafo no be hu say oh at least BBS de na so omo akoma pa because I'm sure Anglo God has done so many things related to corporate social responsibility nti say we it will help ebe ma asem kan no aye mre because akoma ebe ba form na wetumi aka that was all that we said yanka say no nti angrofo edifo no say yenim so modifo a identity be commission investigations nka sanction be say apply so it was never the case say angrofo difo na me sure pa say angrofo more strategies in terms of business strategy I'm sure say they would have considered on their own. I would be very surprised if it was not part of their plans. Yes, I will be very, very surprised if it was not part of their plans. Say they will extend this sort of olive branch to the community as a way of toying the fence and relations and I was very surprised that people deliberately pounce on that and try to create the impression say and Mr. Sokacha was say I was also surprised about some of the posture. Unfortunately, don't have for MP before. Say we know NDC mebununti omo kodie to trust. And then tell Mr. Wanda say yan fa ne say asem kan omo ye NDC for nti aso say NDC ni bebunu ya bonu tu a me ahwehwe mana should we accept so NDC ni nti and as MPP ni nya asem a or MPP ni nti na ban no enter the nation be fofora. I don't think we can live in a country like that. No matter the obi nipa nkwa ehu hia enya de a edidi agro won't me fa nipa nkwa enwura to pressure ehu aban bia sa ne mpanifo ka no aboa wansman podu enya hwe kra no obusa ne nsem nti sa wo ya aban na wontu anya hwe kra also to me bo man for but at least kakra obeya wo de be bo man for ho ban no esa wo ye nti se BBS na nipa dodo se yewu a esa ban hwem sampa nipa na omewu no kwa mo fa so wuye no na ese fata ana se ensem fata na yetu anamon especially to make sure say innocent persons don't fall victim nti na me ma another knowledge na obi it is possible wo twi wo ka abrantie asojafo ana posifo be 10 bi go pick up on my cross wokoka because they are armed and you are not armed na akasakasa kraba no mabutu omu yo meka kire nse wo ye traffic road violation omu be kan na wokotwe tu nto mabutu they may even be able to plant a gun but the government and also the state cannot allow that because a asymmetric relationship omu to me power wo ni bi into make to me the 2 minutes I'm not saying that is what has happened so the role of the government is to go to the aid of the vulnerable. Into this man and na say no embebu na aba no omuduabo omu ni awhyeso no we can't in fact I think was it last year or the year before ashama asem no me ka se me ko tweet condemning what the military did. I was shocked at the venom I faced on Twitter. Say Ghana nipa to me for say treating in Yonko sir because was it 2 soldiers been?
Yeah, a soldier.
Yeah, a soldier was
killed.
Was killed.
Murdered, yeah.
And the entire Ghana Armed Forces must deploy and go to Ashaman and arrest any and every young man. Ebi mo kwa mo chill, mo kwa mo do mo fast so no. Was unacceptable. Some imperials, some fans say why yeah. If from so we are singing ampa. You still deserve a hearing.
Yeah.
Abaisre ni ana post ni ho kwan so obey yo ayakayaka de. Even in war, your call into kwa. One an opposing soldier, exchange gunfire. That's a woman to na upra. You are not allowed to kill him. In fact, you are enjoined to go to his aid. Now, what you say no want to know. Even though are not or person or boat. The reason why law says is at the Kunsia, your children ran and say, I was set on my mood. So we can't have lawlessness and disorder simply because of you 2 minutes to find your pay. It is a you can't say armed robbers be or pretty war as Empire FM neighborhood. And this is stuff one up with had that on match him run away in I say, suspect when there's no basis. You know much more, they will strip you naked. No matter what I buying, if you will go where the trouble. But we cannot accept that. As a government, we should not be countenancing that. Can you say, yeah, to 20 pounds these days? I understand the frustration, especially in relation to this, the incidents of illegal mining, illegal, I'm saying, you have a brain. So it is natural that I'm for before. But I'm not say we must endorse treatment and your papa. I bet to me, ama nipa ashrenem. So it should be the duty of the state to ensure that at all times people are treated fairly and justly. Iti metre Ghana for ATM adwene akọ so mo man yemfa ya adwene kọ sa e ma ye ma once na ho ebufu nti yem re. Let us not, because of rampant incidents of indiscipline on the part of some youth into no yem pene say this sort of killings. Obi, we had similar excuses in the Techiman incident. See yakoto aba ya to be a collation and I will be alleged say you have a mutipa epie by and one into no I was say nipa watching including a 14-year-old girl. Obi, 14-year-old girl. What possible threat can she pose to the electoral system and any life of property in here as you're going to come? Meno can say we don't even know what has happened to them. I'm not sure when nobody has sought justice for them. Because
the 8 was for the 4 constituencies involved.
Yes, no problem.
The Techiman was 2. I think Sabzugu. And Ablekuma Central.
Even if it was 1, it is still a matter of concern. And the reason why I don't know, and you see, and you have 1 or 2 isolated incidents already been a buy. There about 4 or 5 years before, NASA Zongo Youth,
Ashanti region.
The Zongo Youth insists to say, Omonyam robbers. They are regular citizens going about their lawful activity and are posted for not to show almost. So these things keep on recurring. Every 20 people will be gunned down, 30 people will be gunned down, and will be veering towards the friends say anarchy. And nothing that we hear say, as some say, here, the entire manage now will take a strong position. The only entity that has the capacity to protect the resources they are buying here, pending any other. It doesn't mean say, yes, say Anglo Good. They've not done that. Indeed, we've been in touch with Anglo Good for. They've cooperated.
In the more forming investigative committee, relative to Obuasi Asemi.
Of course, many briefing and check up so I can give you specific details. The priority initially was restore camp. That has been done, thankfully, through the help of multiple stakeholders. As you see, I know the investigative phase either has taken off or is about to take off, but I can get you details subsequently. So that too has been brought under control. And we hope we'll be able to maintain the peace. Now life will return to normalcy. There was a nipa yebia na more also importantly no Anglo Ofosu so ayo medjuma because medjuma no so hia oman no ene nipa ye adwuma wo ho ene what have you. Maybe they may have to review security protocols and kwan fa so ye niam to offer better protection and I say bia say oman no kra no eye ni ye bebe bo amabambo mu hye na ye de no to prevent a recurrence. All of that must be considered, but I don't think we should rule out.
Imebuno are calling for say the 60% of Anglo Gold concession mu CD ma buying sa buying and redistributing ma small scale miners no almost if you but 40% na akai one mines no possession no and no more there. So 40% or more 7 pits be a as a omo 2 minutes to omo halt kakra ba ko na no omo kom no into omo wish ne say the company should still cede some of those pits no to them.
Nti ayasem kan he ayenkonwa na ebesi so what must say na yakasa asem no it is one of two things. Okay mo betumi abefa there be muntumi fa so muntumi fa say ni ntia ebetumi aye we ni we amamo na mo so metumi enya bebi da hwem ho so what must say and also okay asem maka na yate mo meje that is all. In between that these sort of incidents can happen, but it is the duty bearers to say bind to make sure that doesn't happen. Well, it is sometimes we overcomplicate matters.
Okay.
Because of positions that you take into, we are not prepared to listen. Yeah, because we form a certain view, say, oh, only NDC for, oh, only legal minus. But you know, if you said there are even push factors, people won't see a move no quite sir. So I must say, it's a banner so dear so beshe, said the man for. Because you see the imagery you also don't want to send around. Let's say there's a foreign company about Ukrume, even if they are helping your economy, they can. Some of these things can happen now. What are this year now? It is not good imagery for any country. And it's yet now must add in this. Inti as here share BB so that it does not escalate. Inti I have a strong position on that. Say Mama Yenya Butre. Now you shall let us not dismiss be a concern
on this particular
matter until say we find
but still on investigations no meaning say secretary to the president so tro command IGP say o mampanya hye say nipa ewu ye in 2020 and 2024 elections no on hwehwem. What's the scope of that event? Me busa question way because is it a by understanding say San Semine see in 2020, for example, no BBNC or Juana.
When I hear Centrania, what does most call BBNC? What outcome can you point to catch me? And first of all, why not a kunipano? A day, quite near the Yoma Faso, and a switch a benny at Yama. Sabi nipa wuye, and then he so what has happened? Catch me. Meshe AKA campaign.
Enra time I hear discusses our same way, no. Honorable Ekosiisen Tasifua, old Tafo MP, pulled out a Shraj report. Which Shraj report Umuishi when Honorable Okujetwa Blakwa and I think one other person filed a complaint was Shraj. Says Shraj and Shraj Shraj in their report stated say in the case of Savelugu, in the case of Ablekuma Central, in the case of Odododio, if the issues were actually subjudicated, the Attorney General was in court. Accused persons were being prosecuted in court. In the Shraj even declined jurisdiction. When they are semi-court. And the normal way will be say once assembly were court there, investigations might have happened by the police or any other agents and an agent so at the court.
Incidents no what can say is here for consequences.
Yes.
Nipa here na I involved in all 8. Omo here na am assembly court.
Into 3 constituencies are in court. One constituency which is Techiman South,
where the majority of killings took place.
I think 2 people died there. And no. Any states in a court, but I think victim back only which is a civil matter for compensation.
First of all, a criminal to kill somebody.
Sure.
Fundamentally sure. So I must say.
Sure.
Clearly, the investigations are not satisfactory. If there is a case, it is not moving sufficiently fast to give confidence to victims to say, so there's a change of government. We have a new in fact, President Mahama, almost every significant speech be out there on the political platform in the run-up to election, you know what's going for and promise say, Obeshe Ama attention ya yejuma was asking. Into I say, first of all, IGP Emmanuel report what is the status of investigation and action into those matters. But
the letter said on initiating investigations.
But when you read down further, it speaks about an update.
Okay.
That would be the first point of call.
Okay.
Okay. Number 2, conduct comprehensive investigations. Who did what, when, and how? NAFA reports in the bra. We still await the report. Seba, we will know exactly what has happened. If it is not satisfactory, we will know what steps to take further. But it only shows commitment of a government to getting the matter addressed. Say President Akufo MP before this level of focus on harassment. Because why? Sir, on my way.
But if the matters are in court, what could Akufo have done?
There are trials.
Yes.
A bind war interest from one. They proceeded with breakneck speed.
Okay.
Breakneck, including one that wanted to remove an MP from parliament. It proceeded at breakneck speed. At two first in case no. Now your court 2 times, 3 times a week. There was one case. Jashi case in the no.
Yes.
So I can say on court every day. In fact, including time and I was a campaign, yes, on court. So it was an expedited trial, and I'm a So another trial involving the deaths of Ghana for a procedure at a snail's pace. It gives cause for concern. Well, you can infer say there's no interest on the part of government, which in any event through the Attorney General does prosecutions. It is another regime or another government. No, I said no. I have a greater interest and focus on this matter. And see, I want to know what has happened. Do A, B, C, D to fast track. I didn't say yes. In any event, I didn't say Hagan and maybe say you better share nipa you as a money at way. I don't think
but
that anybody
officials of the past government can say, in your statement, you portrayed a certain way. It
is not
the statement that they appreciate the fact that matters are even in court.
We have the right to hold that view as a government. In the opposition, we canvass this strongly. Me, Matana platform is so. I cited our instance, because I was not satisfied. Many answer a do it is a yatno position. I can see any answer. We must show some past make and now we meant it is a letter no call any what it will trigger a year and we hear Bebano. And if we have to take further action, we will do so. Because a sure among first of all, it was unjustified. What me who say yeah, police and say came coalition.
Yes.
Oh, your coalition, I was a member of the no, my did a crowd. In fact, yeah, when I start here now, returning officer.
Yes.
I say, on my quality results no. For about 4 years near to what I'm going to say, I see you. The officer back home, now maybe will be here, they can to be bullied. But you cannot keep us here permanently because of science incident. Police commanders now say you offer you all the protection you need.
Yes.
So I convinced him to come, and then we continued. A woman named Mebuno Omabu say kakra, I did kakra. But it cannot warrant the killing of anybody. So I must say, let's make a say. Sometimes we must take a second look at the operational procedures and the rules of engagement.
Yes.
So okay, it's a local police that they did kakra, must people die. Are there no other ways of bringing the router situation under control without necessarily resulting in loss of human lives? And again, to me, yeah, Bam wants to say, yeah, Ube to me, I saw how I know Nipan Shrenenkwa. Because we must respect the sanctity of life. Nipan Kwamu, ya papa. Into any idea to Nasikeke. Sabi, imperious, I would minute a young coco. And will be actually trying to take a gayato quanting. We are human beings. Yeah. We have a basic right to live. And you are buying us to guarantee that. Until say, why in the year, it's yam renting. Your family accounts work as a woe, as you go because of this. Even then, when was the last time you could be? Since 1993, there have been no executions in Ghana. For murderers, armed robbers, and the most violent criminals, Obi and Wayabuni to Okuno, and I send Ghana. The reason being that the state recognizes that Owo Nya de Ketwa, Yedidi Agrokeke. If hardened criminals, Omano Yatushi and Nasa say, Yebeku Womo, Ewabra Yebuomu Kunfa. Why should we allow narcissists to die just like that? Because of the slightest. Sabi, when did you carry out to a bar? Akasakasa crabbing. Why is it not possible to resolve those disputes without loss of human life? The only way we can stem that, and see who say, in Penifua, it would to me so between one among I and Shayama will be able to say, we are Australian, we are policing near the two shows. Won't we find any opaque simply because you feel say war ammunition? Yeah. And that you have to exercise extra caution and care. I want that thing to be established clearly. Yes, sir. Because Obi, and yet, look, I asked him. Yeah, what send your yard to Webby. But your body pammy and said to they have died. But you Kaswa, a soldier for be a kunipami nubi. Oh, Yaboni Pan watching. And we mentioned the figures as if some are statistics. They are just statistics. When you nipa to send Menewo. and asem it is at home because it can befall you, can befall me. We must be interested to find out say in these instances no my an opportunity to fine tune our systems to make sure say there must be justifiable cause. Even then no you must still look into it to make sure say Bibia your project Bibia pepe answer na we just assembly. I think say we must allow the new dispensation to do what is right.
Very well. Just a quick announcement. Matese say why you say we use Accra Tema motorway na me patro dwen hu bi. I'm told say a gas truck has turned on it and that is a Adani Ebutu and a fire service for so Abba. Now my blockade or more air Accra traffic na terrible. And it say we betimi avoid the Tema motorway. Please do. Ubetimi I enter through a Shaiman and enter through the Borteman New Road na waba in crying to Monshan and so am I him say Mubi na air drive there mutie as I speak to the Honorable Fellows Kwakye Ofosu Onoye Minister of State nominee Government Communications and AD and Komo o adwin share o question be a 0548 443 523 your WhatsApp number and 0548 443 523. Honorable, me pacho since swearing in no President Mahama wa international travels why be saying we too quain.
Of course public knowledge and yet Gambia ko Senegal.
Gambia in Senegal.
Near say Obekaya even answer yebe yes.
And
it is because you see why am penida.
Yes.
It's was our contacts. I'm penny from the door now or no made so they know him. It is proper to reintroduce yourself on the world and international stage. Now omo any Ghana this house when we say Eniama assistant for Ghana. It's yes idea to touch base with some of them are old friends.
Yes.
Sitting heads of state, be a former heads of states. Tell them Eniama assistant so that we re-establish contact with those people, not at a personal level, but at a national and international level.
Yes.
Until yes, I didn't know. Until Obeya Mampinino, the first trip was to Boku.
Sure.
And in Nalirugu, because somehow, just around the time of election, I was on a Sabokun Tokano, a sign, until what I say, all born to answer kind. So Obeshe, I do bet to me, I say, Bokun Tokano, and Obebrass.
Yes.
He thought say why am I penny for fraud?
I think microphone there was
why am I penny for fraud? Now when he say we to show a certain level of commitment to all the parties in the conference say abayenia bresi abayemu into almost one share a certain commitment. Almost say almost when ya break so meso hana into call a year the fence a boku eko boku na ba I want to see here and it is our swore a catch so afe na waba Afian washa say all power as well for an penny for a share. I'm saying Nepen Yenya, interior minister, defense minister nominees. But in the meantime, there was a team I was set up led by the Spokesperson to oversee the matters of security. Gambia. I'm saying just around that time. In fact, it was that same day, and I announced a national security coordinator and the others within the security setup. Until I catch them say I feel no about. Then we best says I bring or the yes and Omunya Botre. Omo to no to form. Now Omo man wine. And Penny say opening to the massive as a young folk. It's on way to the nice assembly. So Omo function in sa. Na Omuas assembly. We are not sure say Wababo. Say Wakunto can name say we name the fire by. And we hear Semeko. But there are two main power centers, Boku and Nalirugo. The one and Nahiri work because Nahiri also has interest in the matter. And since Wakoboku dia, I was so called Nahiri work until Wakachre Bokuna was over. Almost to so Nekwanswan because or you mediator on to me Kotai Afaba Kuchi Enyama, which is also called Nalirugo and then Nahiri. The good is our source. Sam Komodo Bokunano and what they call a year Nalirugo. So I'm so you to and the first say. Waka so mati nti o ma na kwenya na onu akoyema mpani no waso ase no aka nti o ka se o hye eye na so afo ni mpani fo be hwe ba mo dumedie no so ewia o de be so mo sa o ma ye additional anasa na muntu ahodo aka o se ye se ne be ya ene ma betumi akoyi amayi nti that was the first internal travel
internal sana oko Gambia ne Senegal presidential jet no ewo he
obi obeka ya be 2-3 years komodi aba ho an say is not the best of conditions the course is na dia nti abanfo fraba what happens is that yeah review of everything including flash servers and company as you better say what is saying answer no it is normal practice
you keep saying Flagstaff House.
Oh sorry, Jubilee House, no problem unless me I'm not fussy about the name.
Okay well
it doesn't lie with me, it's not my call but me I'm not fussy what you call a place for me
okay.
So some may have sentimental reasons for doing so and now historical ideological reasons. I didn't agree with the name change to Jubilee House. Flagstaff House, so they the name. I don't see why you renovate your friend for could have maintained it. It's just empire from Munya ultra modern studio. It doesn't mean someone unless there's a genuine part of rebranding exercise be to make yourself more attractive. But for me, what you call it really doesn't matter. But it is not my call as to what we call it this year. Answer now, call no. Obiadi to me say what is answer. It is normal. So we better when you team. What say in foot was answer. No what pan what so. Any problem. Inti Oko Air Force, you have big communications squad. Basically, I'm gonna share on my penny. We am sharing so. Sometimes when I forget 28 minutes, that's what. I don't know whether it's still there. Almost 70s aircraft, but almost to maintain you don't see the aircraft like that because they are very good engineers. Into I'm gonna share on my penny. Into my penny buy and as part of the transition arrangements. Any abroad here, my so Mama me reports say.
On the state of the presidential jet.
Of the presidential jet. That's what it's saying. In fact, there's whole squadron. How is it like? That is yet to come. We need to give them adequate time to do it. And say presidential jets are available. There are two alternatives. One, they say Obefa private jet with Yaka.
Rent a private jet
with Yaka. And I say you fly commercial. Me and I have cost implications. And you're or money the come back home. Into my penny, so there's a third option. According to my car, say you're too about ya or I would not make my opinion or they a year just target in the coin.
Okay.
Obian said by him in India or in India, Precope, it's in your being who be any. It is all war plain. I will be call Gabon, Kokongo, farming if it is in good condition on the manual. Many is a CBD. Because you and then I say, I'm used to I did say, yeah, no, a new sappy. And as an ahon de no say net no ye nya nche mu say to me too nti ye ntwen kakra na e say ka me kofa commercial flight and as me ko rent we ya ma me use we ya emfa e ka bia mrega na fo I mean I don't see anything wrong with Sanchez no there are two issues at the Kuntia in fact traveling presidential travel ka be ye issue is cost in fact I started 98 abra for car 3 some before year they on form committee was a former for a friend saying I think the interior minister or press secretary from Japan say because of the BFN special purpose vehicle and when I HSBC for my lawyer got told a plane into normal TV that there was nothing was discovered as untold. If it's our time na presidential travel be issue into the shaman penny for so by now in this first year kind the number of times we took kind. Oh, now we took 50. So it became part of the politics. But Omampeni Akufo-Addo took it to extraordinarily absurd levels. So yeah, man, broso. So what say? Presidential debt no work. A maintenance, fine, no problem. You must make alternative arrangements. What arrangement did you make? You made lavish arrangements. Emma with difference, Mr. Begina Parliament catch and say, "So now we share with me a journey for a sense our journey." It attracted criticism from the people of Ghana. And natural. Sabi, which you have to, Miss Meet you at all. So, what shall I bind the defa at one or air faso and now offer to the edge one or why you have the right to complain and cry loud. Ghanaians did that. Many of you thought Black was so and he was justified because he showed concrete evidence and it's in fact, Obeka has asked by for a long time no muniano. Omoya no cry in Yanom near Banana in Pasu. Obie the kinds of aircraft. And a boa omutia. Our Benima say if for a short time the presidential aircraft no anywhere. It's a semi-call rent for Frodometiaka. Mukroyana, me position America say, or Maniska Samasa Yeniska. And I say, Marco for commercial metia, or your man business class. No way Tiaka. Mama me using and saying ya kakra until time I menya satisfactory report from communication squadron about the state of
the presidential.
Exactly.
But when Oye president elect and now Oye opposition leader, are different from when he's sworn in as president?
But what true? Obi, minister.
Can anybody say Obi? That
Obi,
yes.
Obi me a minister.
Yes.
Me a minister.
Yes.
Abanma me car some fanya.
Yes.
Anopa se me car no me spark na engine spark. Na me fa me yere car.
Sure.
Na me the bedroom. What extraordinary problem does it create for the state? And I'm a woman.
Yeah, but you are a minister of you are not the president.
The principle is the same. The point is that on Mampenino, there are two issues: safety and security, and a cost.
Yes.
These are the fundamental issues related to discussing presidential travel.
How do we categorize Sir Gesture, the gesture of his brother? Is it a gift to the president or what? We're categorizing the same.
What it is this. I have, it is a Omanpenio call a demand the first day.
Yes.
Now do on one car.
Yes.
What is the issue with it? Or how I want to go? Maybe you're not presidential fleet of cars.
Yes.
Yes. It cannot be used.
Yes.
Into me, I'm maybe I'm a Benz, and I'm
Yes.
What is the problem?
No, how say a Omanpenina aircraft
and also
a two different
and also Otna Nigeria come.
Yes.
To say me say
yes.
Me call Ejuma, me start me car now and start it. But now me don't come there. Ejuma driver and see me. What problem?
No,
how
you are responsible for
the principle is the same.
No, meba. You are responsible for Wayere. In the Wayere car who you swear it as if say a wow car. Say a wa down for be car. It changes the dynamic.
Obi into me say me kwata down for mo car. Now me call Ejuma ask me this. What's the problem?
Okay. Into the was in na ebusa say
Aden
is it how do you categorize that gesture to the president?
Tama obey president elect.
Yes.
When said the state extended consistency.
Sure.
They used to give him security briefings.
Yes.
What was the basis for it? Was they recognize his significance and importance
as president?
As a president elect,
yes.
The state provided security for him because if at that time we to meet the aircraft, in fact, aircraft already took coin as opposition leader, as president elect.
Yes.
Now, or call 1 day trip to Senegal and Gambia. No, you should not. The banner doesn't cost you anything. What is the issue? What significant problem? Or how I did blow minus here and will be catching me? Or how I could find the end of blow minus? It wasted our money. That is a problem I think was occasioned by Kufado traveling.
Okay.
Yeah, Castle be a modest to a fourth time. Some catch was several times.
But how about those who would argue say?
Okay. Makacho.
Yes.
On many occasions, may repeat. Me say your core official travel.
Okay.
The only aircraft that are available no, economy seats in Frankfurt to Accra, Germany.
Okay.
This is 2014. Otne the buy.
Okay.
He could have said, say, economy the issues of security and safety and comfort were problematic into a current jet. He didn't do it. So I must say.
Yes.
It's in his nature, he is modest. Uncle Ebi been the car and if he can find an alternative that does not impose a problem on the state and additional cost, he will do it. I don't see what the problem is.
Okay, let me read for you. And I was going through Shraj for publishing code of conduct for public officers of Ghana and guidelines on conflict of interest to assist public officials identify, manage, and resolve conflict of interest. When you read page 30 of that document, principle 1.4, it says, public officers shall not put themselves in a position where their personal interest conflict or is likely to conflict with the performance of their functions/duties. Point 1.43 or say, public officers shall not accept gift or favors directly or indirectly from any person when such gift or favors may compromise the objective performance of official functions. How do you situate this in relation? How do you categorize our gesture?
Let me do the question now.
Okay.
So you tell me.
Okay.
How has this travel compromised President Mahama?
No, Meba. How first?
You see,
how do we categorize the gesture?
It is not just.
Is it a gift to the president?
The way we do know, it must have relevance to us, my.
Oh, absolutely.
Good. So, we say, Shraj,
yes. No, we code of conduct for public officers.
And Conquer actually be
sure.
A better tool. A year, I will need years with dear and in the
yes.
Inti. say koba say na was say Mampini Mahama current jets.
Yes.
And current Ibrahim dia.
Yes.
Ibrahim has got profits from his brother.
Sure.
By virtue of the fact we'll be using the deal.
Sure.
That is where the issue of conflict of interest will arise, because the conflict arises because Ibrahim is union and our profiting from union position. In this instance, an idea will use it that. No, so may they call harbor. We as a state have lost nothing. And permanent arrangement. The day communication squadron, Becca and say, oh, Mampini, jet, no, Etiapo.
Yes.
He will use it. The man is prepared to fly economy class over long distances. It is not say the plane is in pristine condition, is available. There's reports say BBI here no say me mfa. Me wa kutie sika dia ma Ibrahim with the back side plane because we mean anu enya faso. No, that is not what has happened.
But will anybody
it is important not to stretch.
No, I get you.
Some of the issues.
I get you.
It is true. People can run commentary. They can criticize the president's conduct. But it must be valid.
Yes.
I was say what can say now. Also when you so bi wo mu a e de o how beba. In this instance,
no,
Papa ne campaign or the play na campaign na you before.
Felix, some will say
a temporary arrangement based on Yankasa ye fail as a country.
Yes.
To provide them with certain things.
I understand your question.
Really
maybe my final question on this, move on to other issues. Would it be right for anybody to say, because it's a kind gesture from a Ghanaian, would the father fast or any brother the grand from a Ghanaian? Would anybody be right to say, when you accept this gift, or mine more but no Ghanaian is a Father Christmas. In your mouth, our gift now. He would expect something. And when that thing comes, and maybe the president's judgment on that might be clouded by gift now, Jeffrey.
Okay, we is a conjecture.
But that's why I said likely
to. So where
likely
you must
true.
You say who say in Nasuo a dance deal with what Kanofuriata. He was finance minister. He was making decisions for himself.
Yes.
He was the decision maker. Say see a Kwakye bonds. And on one company, Bema advisor no sign to
okay.
There's no greater evidence of conflict of interest than this.
Than that.
And on air clear, he has profited personally. So the command Ninuano has profited. If it was the case, some Mampini Mahama was renting and not renting Ibrahim, even if it was competitive, he would say he has benefited from his brother's occupancy.
But you don't see where it's like
it is not essentially
a conflict of interest situation.
Sometimes you to stretch it.
Okay.
So it is valid to insist there are ethical standards. I was say
you follow.
If it's okay, there's nothing wrong with it. Mama, he is prepared to do that.
Okay.
And permanent arrangements.
Okay.
In the transition,
okay.
Make us say at least in my position as acting spokesperson, because say your family you remember. It's in case state in providing BB
amount.
I have nothing. It's me I'm doing or how I want to. There's really no issue. In fact, I don't even see what the problem is with this.
Very well.
Pharmacy.
Very well.
And it is true. I understand. Say people want to see ethical standards in government. President Mahama will provide ethical leadership. Or nye bibia ebe mo ban na boka ana e kire so.
Okay.
Nti yenka let us not stretch it.
Very well. Me other issues. I know say more after the swearing in, one major issue I hate the administration was the possibility of a doom coming back. Mekaisa mene John Jinapodi in Komowaha, Emma, or my assurances, net time lies, a fuel be now more epese eba. Sisi ete saying, do we have enough fuel?
Yes. And I also got a briefing on that. Near Tiene said, Sisi, I was taking the review of some fuel, parcels of fuel.
Okay.
They are expecting more.
Okay.
Into the stress now, immediately it has been averted. And yet, if we had not taken the step. In fact,
yes,
that was his first
assignment,
duty.
Major duty.
In fact, I'm crying you into me last house into one office of cantonments or task chief of staff say uncle Vini emergency meeting on friend penifua
with IPPs needed.
Yes, no, that's different. And IPPs.
Okay.
We need all sector players in energy in Ghana. Until IPPs come VRE, MPA, and then all of them, ECG, Obia or Watchefa, our Ghana Yama Wading, and she Monomrebi. Into a honor, yet you are grid technical officer be a presentation me who send here. It's say as far back as October last year. Now we're South Gas pipeline. Omo in the gas war Eastern Enclave. Was it so we have quite a number of thermal plants. I think over 1,300 megawatts of power and generated through gas on the demand. Into October last year, on better about say I was say omokra a yadro ben and our pipe. Say be the pigging. The be a shimwana and Nantiana. A residue over a pipe no answer. Into October, and I was saying, Yana Banis you, there be Montreal Quake shake a class and call first quarter until January 20th. The reason for that is that I say, Sano Bema Quenya, Amomina Mre. I say, out of Fango. Send a bear said, Brian also said, I was say, Omudum, and almost 2 drube anymore. A pipeline in one. Yet me and Fango, Eddie and Genya Mording, Eddie Magana for. That was the reason why they asked for the extension. Ya ba, ya 2 abani ya. Your core transition team. Ye besides was anxious and the oh, I must be the dean, Yayan should be as ye. And yes, you. I feel on the very first day, in fact, it was a day that matter first came up at the inauguration of President Mahama. I will be the microphone.
Yeah. JJ
interview or disclosure. It was a day to the handing over. Any who's a sana, Bosch almost say no money. So they didn't buy the fuel as they had promised. Meanwhile, one of my company said they should suspend and I defer the routine maintenance. Since it was an emergency to back a year. Na MPP mebunu bi enena so Mahama ba ya adum so beba sana na efidi omodi sum Mahama no
with fuel
the eno bo no say a dereliction of duty e wasudie ena wa hyeda ase wonye o pese abaye ba no enimguase ka no ntempa na wanya bibia aka so the dum so aba nti wanye because fuel no so otoba ebedi mre some of the thermal plants no fuel ade beba no e we say wodi gina ho ama efini niam mu odu ewo mu no esane kwa ase ansa na wotumi dia yedwuma ama obibi centrifuge echi no sa na eji efini nyina wo mana kwa ase na asset ansa na wotumi ebi wo ha obetumi dia egum direct inti all these were factored into the discussion inti na ehun hia say it became obvious say scheduled maintenance no cost. In fact, it was scheduled to have happened yesterday and 20th and then come to. It was definitely going to create a problem. Obiaji to me say it's not the doing of the new administration. Because about one day, how could they be responsible for any offense? It's Yane was a gas pipeline 24 kind. Say,
country maintenance.
So much me about I'm 2-3 week extension. I been the 3rd February. Sada Nano and the chief of staff say a technical committee should be formed of all the relevant players in the energy sector to find a solution. If I saw meeting them, so I heard their responses and they had brilliant ideas. Yet I assume say brilliant. Perhaps it's the most efficient committee in Ghana's history. In the space of about 4 or 5 hours, they had found a solution.
Wow.
No, they play because now more year presentation, how much they say we will need over $200 million to avert. Yes, that is if Yanfan say time now. Wapko for so maybe I'm so to meet 1 month. It's be business says almost send them another 1 month. We need $200 million. But so much to meet the deadline is why $108 million, which is a lot of money.
I
been about for the why I know this work would be. Nissan into no can only do and I buy say the Tibiano or Bepesica among my indeed Menocasi farm will be aba. There are other threats in the energy sector. And no see now, yes, but the immediate danger of doing so, that one has been averted. Indeed, they expect more fuel supply to come after having taken delivery of some. It's a member committee number, so they've worked very efficiently. Even though he had not been sworn, he was a president's representative in the energy sector. Into Ashama Bibiako. So it's an indication, say, Edumana idea is I think that's how they are for now. But subsequently, this was at least for the first quarter. No, you basically going forward, we will make the necessary agreements to make sure at least we have sufficient generation capacity. Generation cannot be a reason why you better soon. Until the can say you better find say almost 3rd February based on more timelines. In fact, by 1st week of March, no maybe it becomes available, the gas becomes available again. Now, which is as nobody. Until Sikas and Kaduko you can get cheaper gas to fire it, and that should help us resolve the problem going forward. Yes.
Okay. And no aside, no one other challenge about was senior high schools and so
that is true.
Education shortage.
That is true.
President Oda said na there was stocks be or tema ho baby nti yenyi mfama
yes
na stock ben ya
well and I may have to get the details for you
okay
I mean to mean can okay but whatever it is a stock wo
okay
na enye ade be to me aha adwen emfa how be am near the man kwala me say and say but and also was about the second day in office I was in that meeting too with chief of staff and a GS director general Ministry of Education chief director
yes
and one other official in addition to that also Charles also by also be raising issue what had happened was that and also no the same irresponsible governance Charles Walker as a massa the way near my etino ye baby school mama yan twin kwechire kakra near ma ebremrem na ye ntumi fan so ha na ba se chan be me why you were reopen at the time even in the best of times we have challenges and at time eduane ni abani so obi and yet they had made no arrangements to feed these children it's a chance for by GS for bana ya ka show mo say ye proposal and I insusie
yes
your policy on feeding senior high school students and say yenye local procurement because centralization it can lead to a lot of inefficiency because a doors into one year and what can say won to me say badness a person to bar how be it is a common bar a beba baby at the same time. Number 2, centralization of procurement can lead to corruption easily because in years one or two big party put on a contracts normal cost supply na sikaburu they go on motonomoko how many times now almost supply if you are name called buffer stock and go to show so and go to ensure so say any money payment sometimes 3 million 4 million no more see into moka no move so it is because of the centralization the ma a canon a cost road it's a problem about affect you be at the same time so we are local procurement schools no and a bay into local markets omone ete importem wa omo na ba ye omo ton no ye hyehyɛ o wo de fe free me na aban baba nti a local transaction nti even if BBC na delay ba it is unlikely say a be widespread problem you may have isolated incidents but generally the schools will function also many aduane based on salary and also you are more efficient there's greater guarantees on sabeka because the demand at every point in time near ketwa and the local suppliers can meet that demand. It also eliminates corruption. Eji private taxation free because the amounts are not that big. Into the incidence and motivation for corruption is much lower because the objective yet political rent seeking. Say a big player
more approach now
decentralization better. But of course we need time to put that in place.
But the existing way and say for perishables, the schools are giving money to purchase them.
They say all
now or more
they broke
the academy naba.
A broke to go you do an edu no come school be bosomen. And ya dia won't mean yano e just
locally.
Exactly. Woko asebu pemua. E wa bra asebu kwa kesi a obenye burato obenye muato.
But no so sa ban sika na ma.
And I'm just say
it creates another problem.
And I'm just say a localized arrangements. A one any partner. Why not? And as I buy munu cry if you aban da be na aban nika Ghana uko ruo sector nkwa over 100 billion Ghana citizen commitments aban in this called but am for a year adwuma you understand me because of a long time until if you strike that relationship with local suppliers for masoko school ni bi meboa so the likelihood will be to me enyanti ase amom no aye adwuma no e wo soro but what centralize here no until if there is a major difficulty now the 300 million now say yen supplier the problem goes right down. So it is more manageable on a small scale. Essence of any kakasa na nipa bia supply na for how. But your policy and we told GS for no any schools said that is our policy. They seem to like the idea because Kamia said you trap school authorities in decision making in the way I implement this kind of education in Ghana. Headmasters they basically have no power anymore. Meanwhile, so they are the first point of call. They are the managers on the ground on the schools. Yeah. It's why not empower them to be able to some you are toy then you say back say we headmaster agree memorial. Any course market. I then I open so I know so I just back crowd.
No, literally, are you expecting the headmaster himself?
Oh, because I don't mean literally, of course. So they have structures that they use. More bases war in Penifua a year matrons, so they can take of it. But just basically, but they are the managers. They will supervise this sort of arrangement. The CFE say you decentralize, and President Mahama made that commitment on the platform. Can I so be here? In the catch say eventually, but in many years we have a problem, so we have to find a way to do it. And I'm in as a Minister of Finance. 200. I've seen the Swift advice. 200 million Ghana is 2 tranches, 100 million.
And they for them
to resolve the problems of feeding.
Okay.
Yes.
Beyond stock, now they come out. No?
Yes.
This is cash.
This cash. 200 million Ghana. I have the documents on my Swift. No, yes, I've seen it. And normal the banker say, oh, may release this car. That's why now inquire. But when you call, there's evidence say in Krata someone wants to say the call. The schools now have money at least for the foreseeable short to medium term. You may be. Then later say a brave one. Mind you, there's a government that is in fact the next exactly 2 weeks. So I'm sure because we've been there because of the magnitude of the problems and what we have had to do. Agents, but it's just 2 weeks. It's surely you be here. Now so then we do and then first. The last ministerial is there substantive ministers.
Yes,
so Abanipo has in fact and Nepe and they approved 3 nominees. They've not even been sworn into. Strictly speaking, they are not even ministers.
There is no minister actually.
Yet things have to. I think one of the issues I'm best raising, you've not raised it, but it's important. I think so far in terms of peaceful transfers of power.
Okay.
But I think there's a gap in the transition arrangement. Say one say Boko UK almost to abani we no so results the ban now the action our prime minister is going to take over, so they have a level of efficiency. It doesn't give rise to all these problems. The system still runs until say new government member no be some policy, it will run.
By the end say aban sesa
we have to wait a month in Kenya boni.
You were trained 2 months,
but you see omono they have such efficient systems. Say whilst the new government is waiting to take over. No, any that's no. But Hano, come here, say everything freezes.
From security to everything.
Because the pan is slow. On your show. On your show, say, na me kwamet na answer me kunti. Even so, you should still be able to do your job. I don't see why I will be. In fact, one of your host. There's a new host will replace you next week. I don't just say the 1 week now cannot. You must act as professionally as you have to. There are some of the issues that you may want to sit down and agree, but there should be a system that runs. Well, I think that we must strengthen that part of our transition. Otherwise, some of these problems will not arise because sometimes, and yet deliberate. Say the neighbor percent or sabotage, but there's uncertainty.
And most of these people also are politically appointed.
Exactly. It's unsure. Unsure. And I say, will be framing, or he is the head of one of the state-owned enterprises. Say he didn't know what to do. Now I'm saying, how can you not know what to do? Say, Yampamo say, why do you panic? Stay there. One of 2 things. You can decide, on my own.
I'm resigning.
Yes, sir, you will hand over to the one who is supposed to take over from you for some time. And I said, what's now what to say? I don't see why there should be a gap in the way that these organizations run. But I think that is a gap in the transition arrangement. Once we are by and large passing, see, look, in 2020 we should not be witnessing not one soul should die. 2016 to Abobi, 2012 but 2020, 2024 that is a blot. Free war. See, no free war. I think that by and large we've passed the test in terms of peaceful transfers. I mean, integration now people were prepared to associate with us because they thought something good was. Even Omo Ayoku crowd were willing to come and see what was happening. Incidentally, Omo Mubenya, your friend said the largest approach, which should tell you a nice something.
But that's something I also said.
Yes.
I don't know if you listened, but
it should tell us something.
What happened that day,
It's people voted with their voices. I was there and I was completely shocked. Really? We are celebrating democracy. In fact, Kente Ashe interdefita yashiri nano. Why you say bibi papa ama insurance papa be and yet obia He is acting in exact opposite to what
democracy represents.
And yet he got the largest.
And this is after 15 presidents had
exactly.
Yeah, born the Dino. In the one I'm say
there's something that we have not.
We have to watch it.
What it means is that there are similar intentions in him.
Yeah.
Amount for bone.
Yeah.
Now even the way amount for voting, it should tell you something. It means that people have voted with anger because to lose elections by 1.7 million votes, it means that there's extreme anger against you. If you are nipa no, any they didn't quite any demonstrate. We say, oh, but that is even.
And it also even means say. And I don't want to admit this, but the system is somehow prime.
No, what it simply means, not necessarily a coup d'etat. People simply want a different kind of governance.
Okay.
That's my thing. It doesn't necessarily mean. I think that democracy has come to stay. Ghana for TSC.
Okay.
Said the worst democratic government is better than the military administration. So I don't think they are clamoring for a coup. Sometimes out of frustration. But I don't think that's what they want. What they want is new leadership, a new way of governance. That is what they saw the gentleman represents. I'm sure he also reminded them of Rollins. I'm sure. So there was some nostalgia near the But what they are demanding is more action-oriented governance that focuses on Nipani. As I say, you be to work I say lofty rhetoric. I don't think it's about it. But as I'm saying, it means there's something that is happening. You need course so BBC our form yen share them who know that is what I think
security head should be.
It is not a security issue. Let us know this.
It's a security issue.
Why show the analogy of the nail. Why show a problem beyond the hammer boss will say that one. No, it is not a security issue.
Okay.
The way I some let's know. Won't mean for security in Swano.
Okay.
If the people decide say they are going to move.
Okay.
Okay. Why? Now, we've had presidents who have fled. So we had to make a 98 Ujani Indonesia. This is a man who had been in power for 30 years. Bangladesh, on Prime Minister, Sheikh Hasina, Ujani. After I started off with students. So it is not a security issue. It's about governance culture. I mean, what is it means that
the political elite should watch.
We should watch out. Inti me tweety bibi. We be say me. He anopay offer me to congratulate me. Now he added a problem. Say if your brother climbs a mango tree, you cannot possibly think of eating unripe fruits. Unripe fruits. On one so kind. You see, I say if someone has found feathers to pluck from the back of a tortoise.
Yeah, I read that post now.
What would they do to a fowl? So much actually to shower on one. So it is not a security issue.
Okay.
No number of soldiers can quell
when the people decide.
That's uprising.
Yeah, it's true.
Because somebody will show them.
It's true.
It's true. It is more about changing the governance. I see a member is so many. You see, they can go and vote you out. Say Omini is so a member, but they should not get to a point where they wish said yes or baby. The moment that begins, it means that a failure. And that can happen through bad governance. Send you who MP before. You see, there's one thing to govern poorly, to face problems. But the way who minor can offend and upset people. This is how we are president. The conflict in penny for about Abessa. No, monsieur, you were or harbor communal. You're quite yet, ensure yet, say, what was over and no credit. And your man into 2 years, Yamea, don't want Ebia, by the time be. Measure say, medication. In fact, one fancy mukra, so when you say Papa catch room. But I'll catch room say, because me de MP buy out to see and need to know. Miss May, yes, a man, yeah. Now, the soccer said, show. What called stronghold, Ashanti region?
Yes.
Your stronghold?
Yes.
In fact, stronghold, no crown, baby, I walk as I no, is the strongest of the strongholds. A one night, you can't vote marginal. We not do a power. That's a maybe no one at the Chaka class. Oh, my God. What I just want to my end this year. Now, that's what you're saying. This is your Abana resource at the bar. What will surprise you? We are energy minister. About 4 acid doom swabber. Almost the shum and tontum air you heat any is soon. Make a crab because we got someone across Wintino. Ama or cool just for cran when Yashi and Mephi, Ama or the common equator or Sabe the soon. No more catcher will say, oh, yeah, here timetable near the boy bra. Now catch him say go and make and now draw up your own timetable. Now, what are you telling them? What's saying aid your mathematical? If you behave like that, another person can send a check Ghana for high presidential jet expensively. And a Ghana for worker. Say Jai. You can resort to commercial flights. Even if you travel first class, it will come nowhere near
renting a plane.
What's the many? Obi, at the height of COVID, COVID that bar, I say at the insurance or maniscas.
Yes.
Where you must say your biggest priority in South Basic Cathedral. Oh, yes, sir. Just say, who bunny panin tia, Aka or Hawa or Kumno. I'm sure some people can live with a bit of hardship. Some which rabba, one bet me at him. But in the year where you are not stressed, you are taking them for granted. Now, person, I shan't be minister. Shanekasa, how can you talk like that? Which me far ethnic group. Now, Sabi, where do you matem bedroom? You talk to them, say, simply because you be a bina benti. Your first utility workers, anyway, now, we kakra. Who can say, simply because you occupy political office. It's if people begin to feel the way they felt and express it the way they did
in the
on the day that we were celebrating democracy. What Mekacho said is not a security problem.
Okay.
It's a security heads, they can do their job, but that is not the solution. It is
the governance,
the politicians, and they also
that proverb, no, a warning to the NDC
and they say itself.
Government.
Now why?
Okay.
2016 said President Mahama lose by 1 million votes.
Yeah.
And yet the same electorate now.
Sure.
2020 a short say by 500,000 and now before a suffer major casualties in parliament.
Yeah.
It was a warning. See any BB. Then in the lead up to the next election, what's our yes and no come out 1.7 million gap. Who's to say NDC a yes and Yenibia and what 3 million difference. Left Ghana for not catch your plane, what they will do to you. So I don't the bay yo ewa bra wa bra and so many. It's when we have been a catcher or say, show an amount 2 years. Say, yea, and it's a phone to me and she had the fee and before or how we want. Now, yan send for Tapasi better about my fair Otto von Bismarck. No, a chancellor or Germany. Or Casimbi. Was it Sabi? Or Quasia? And now, Osia be free on one name from woman. Onyanseni Osia be free at downfall from one. So one trying any mistake in the way you must learn from your friend's mistake. It's the end is for Ghana for Obama. Me when I saw the results, I won by a margin of 11,000. If I'm your opponent, I'm my coalition center because he knew say any man could. Into a mono, and I'm because it's had a last election class, so I must also find out where things are. It's I made contact with election director. Then I got to know that we're leading by 56.7%. And so what? So what's he saying? 56.7%. Yeah, we are here no. The gap was 1.7 million. I didn't say even it surpasses Rollins' vote difference. And Rollins was extremely charismatic. Said, "We're not about to be the issues may not even matter because of his charisma. I'm out for paper and 70. He will win." And yet, if we are recording this kind of victory, as a party, we never end. You see, but who don't waste to it is the bonifant cautionary tale to all politicians. Say Ghana for us to twin touch in the chair. Until you can lose by a margin of 3 million votes. If after the Oma Ye, when you be with him, so Mama, President 1 million gap. The reason why they've done this to the MPP is that Omo will say, when she be Omo your margin say because they've won by that margin. It's Ghana for Pomasa Mado. What can I say? Be catch say I am someone more so and this year we need a kit where be then before we need a see. It was simply because na Ghana for enough time to assess them. Accidents of history, they were in the wilderness for 30 years. Into Samayo Jinawi, Dr. Samayo. He doesn't even know what the Progress Party was. May I someone to a picture now because now Onim he doesn't know. Into Onim UP, Onim NLM, Onim Bafwa or Seaputu. Enim Victor Wusu, Enim UP in 24. The only man say at least since 2008 or say that papa ka kufu asem o man penu kufu man oh you the papa obu man ye blah, that's all they know. So they didn't have enough time. They saw the NDC's 8 years. Doom so kakra by one or two things be answer any. Until they based their decision on that. But they didn't have context. Say a baby abana MPP for until now 8 years per normal year compared to the NDC 16 years. Until they've seen more of the NDC
than the MPP.
But say you can't say me said that crow sabi kwasi any better I'm a group. But MPP for 16 years now they were in a better position to compare. Only a comparison in so would there be Sana NDC was better. So and that is why they have done this to the MPP. But another year additional diom they share and say a phenomenon. What happens in elections? They do baby. There's a mental blockade. 2016, I was perhaps the first person to introduce drone shots in showing infrastructure work. It was just to show how magnificent it is. Sometimes the way I gauge it is so. We could share the comments under the post and compare it to comments when I put now. There's a total swing. It was the same people now. Now, dispute. Try picture fresh. A yard that's a deal cruising will be back because a drawing. And yes, be any pardon. Sometimes in yes, be a person didn't try. But he has developed a mental blockade against you. What can she because they have made up their minds. Your mind then say, we are just waiting to go and vote you out because that is the only opportunity we have. The NDP too suffered it. Will be by December 2022. Ghanaians had written them off.
December 2022.
2
years before
there was no recovery. Dana CD called 17 cities. So that was their own doing. That was November. Because now June, there's a payment be $3,000 a month. CD equivalent. June, now 18,000. It's 18,000 a year. In the space of 5 months, now 54,000. Who will not feel this? It is a jump of 34,000. And sorry, 36,000.
36,000.
I make 18,000.
That can lose you an election.
Now, Obi Atisan, I don't know what catch. So I call motorway. Why you fly over? Or yeah, spare parts dealer was so high. I got top blocks for beton. 5 months ago, I call Cedia dollar. We have 6 cities of Benjamin. Now within 5 months, we have 17 cities. As someone I catch. Say why you fly over? And I said, anyone now, why you bet your second face in tea on to Abama? He won't. Because in a livelihood, a dear nebusia for anyone one cassa a dino, where you feel, will be your bondholder. There's a woman now, not some no, I am because of politics now, they didn't at some point you develop a certain ability to take in news. But sadly, in a way, Mamma no, our mum, you know, Omina for some reason they suffer mental illness. It's a bonds na wato na musika na ode show mo kakra am say ba kokra ye akola wa adopt no anya ne ba na ma me etesa no ode ne sika bo bosia se bosumi nsia bi ama no interest na at times on no wa ji ne sika se wonni bi on fa na no compare bo mo ja ba ba free na okọ finance minister ko demonstration na wo fu social media e di nothing say NDC akokra sabi 70 years no so kuta poma e be demonstration sana sika kwa mon fama 1.3 million people suffered that. We money are mostly middle class people are only professionals, young professionals, only man so many people can no dey see omo dependents apart from omo re no omo man omo usafo ofie omo say omo otumemo obi 5 minutes days a month kra depend on the circumstances no e sika e be so no be here even though e be award the question restaurant so but to obia or you lower down the ladder no and now or from no saska no bit may be ama no say sa de na ma ono so 500 no ono so 4 dependents no so na de be show mo it's the multiply effect is huge it maybe sir there was a time I say me say ba me yanko contest a year 2024 election he will still lose nipa bi antiase because it was him against the people of Ghana against Uncle for year they've suffered tangible setbacks in their lives because of government policy. It's that me na me catch obia says election way there was no comeback for the MPP. BBN one be ya e be sesane because people had made up their minds because MPP before had enjoyed more goodwill than NDC. Purely by accident of history here. The way I near be a course before here. Not because my baby so could be. I actually say, Omun Mamma was saying this. It's kind of one benefit of the doubt. That was an internet winning by a wide margins. They were just giving them benefit of the doubt. Say, yeah, share them whom we and they say Wabeji Jumai as host. It will be unfair to assess you based on mistakes that crowd on the first day. Anybody who assesses you on that, has not been fair to you. But so we did 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months. It shows that clearly there's something. At that point, a decision can be taken on you. So what must say? So they had simply offended too many people. Oma many people draw bebre share sa banks ya mo collapse. Obi do for UT papa.
Indum amwaben.
You see whatever it is. Ghanaian financial sector na ye ni indigenous participation enti through dint of hard work any be Yankopon adom any maybe emwa bi omutumi nya fi be enti they been able to establish something chima talk akra ba there's been issues you have said you made this kakra enti there's no way you can use your way as a buying to hold people accountable and still ensure that business will survive so that those who depend share we call in Miami bebre wa Ghana ha Udu man can see my GM bank or branch or nice
break building. I've seen it.
Into because of winter, it has to go into a state of the network at a what value did we gain from collapsing that thing? As opposed to okay, Mr. Endum, you say why you into war, you be you free at the end. This bank will go into proper management under the Commission of Bank of Ghana. So that workers say a man a bomb the value chain is saved. Was a man yet by stroke of a pen. Now, which you can't say winty. There are long established media organizations, Radio Good, XYZ, they are critical of MPP. So what? Obi, into only a critical of MPP into them. Now, you've given them a bill of what? About 6 billion. And now I'm mistaken. No, 64 million. So much. Clearly, you want to meet yes, we are buying. We say, Matum. For 2 years, knowing fully well the implications. Momo ye media, you know the struggles you go through. Nipati about don't say glamorous. What's here now? Why if ever work? I don't say what you go through. The bills you will let bill criticizing. Was in make until for 2 years. You deny the opposition an outlet. When come to me first watch children, what's it what to? And my work as a one. As Obi Ohan in lively with imagine as ideas. There were prominent presenters in that place because as I did into my brand conform completely. They've not recovered till now. But what's your opposition radio what to meanwhile about 2 years later, what to me more amnesty. So at the very beginning you could have given similar amnesty. Knowing very well says ask also Munch to meet. You know that the circumstances are to meet and yet BB said who will you offer. A count of minus room could be a better or how can see be a better, but at least you allow the outlets so that people who want to vent. Even say 2 necessary grand which me you embitter all these people. You collapse businesses. Why a system contractors be 100 a year juma. No one selected 5% make you not the vast majority of them. On business is a good Obi Oha court is season now because loan or Kwakye and went to me and even so would hear this the value has so whittled down said or the and these are people who have dependents, they are influential in their communities. Some are selling penny for they have people who look up to them. Sure, Obi, Mr. Ajekum Kama.
Yeah.
Michigan was Switzerland a few years back. And I'm needing more. The nuggets of wisdom the man gave me. May I know? Now you can businessmen, entrepreneurs, or can be what I used to look up to him. In fact, not apart from he also used to do motivational speeches. I used to listen those days. I'm opening way because of Abaje Sheboniti. Or to me, a Jina bedroom case me bre. Now Obi, Mr. Ajokumado, Yami find crazy bra, Obi Wobedi. If someone of his caliber is suffering, or to me be no more and you say be a kukuomu komodi, he's able to stand in public and say me bre. I can't pay my overheads, means you my for me do my ugu, na me bre personally. Then a few weeks later, this is baby. What message have you sent some people down there. How do you expect to go into elections and perform well?
And perform well. Into bottom line,
it's a
signpost for the NDC.
And there were economic difficulties. But I can assure you, say, even in the economic difficulties, if government was behaving properly, about penny for any amount for year, they were humble, they were accepting responsibility. I'm sure, say, even if they were going to lose, and by this much, but this way, no, that they have punished the MPP as an example to all of us in the political space. You can have difficulty, difficulty one or the other.
Yes.
But it depends on how you conduct yourself. That would be the difference between whether you survive or you go into your end. It's for when I made that tweet, it was for a reason. So I said, we should not celebrate. I say celebration must give way to sobriety and deeper insights as to why Abanesa. So, what to me, who is and
because of that, and maybe we have a final point. Some of the promises are more Ghana for. More expect to say and so.
Sure.
And with that, all that you said in mind, say Ghana for no. Yes, okay, baby train, tomato Obama, Obana we can punish you.
Sure.
One of them, okay, maybe two. 1 year, stress-free level 100s are fees, no academic fees, no. And shall say that schools now are reopening. Students are apprehensive, and then the ABC.
Yes. Everybody would agree.
Okay.
We don't even have ministers in place.
Okay.
And it is not a realistic expectation. Okay. They themselves understand.
Okay.
You see, Ghana for almost cherry before a chance on wolf no matter what they will give you a long
time.
They are also reasonable people. They say will be our baby. It is a way of buying what for free. They know so the circumstances do not permit you to do some things. I don't think they will exercise anger against you. They will give you sufficient time. Never I say where some can more be in your but if I say 1 year cheap now 1 year now remember excuses and pass more, then they will take action against you. So really I don't think the problem is the fact that what can be going to me, but the circumstances surrounding the failure, the failure to accept responsibility. No credit in him, I did fit associated to. She said, Obi, is he? Me some about me a critic, you know that. But for him to be able to tell Ghana for, said economy, Yakwatu Mwabe was better than 2016. It was a major. What to make actually me said, you go and you bring me figures. Why misinterpret to suit your own ends? This is catch one. Say June of 2022. This is a CD and a dollar, 6 CDs.
Yeah.
Now November, Mrs. Sanders said 17 is better than 6. And that person can say it means I will do my term in addition to the suffering that I'm going through. So I must say. So yes, drink say in some way can I be this so. But I'm sure the Ghanaian people know. Say the government needs to settle. You need to see what is there. The Parado send a walk, send a big year, and then you engage. Thankfully, there is a better education dialogue, a better economic dialogue. In some will be able to be. Obi a drink chire beba na yakani in album ya share the abawom near the ayetuma. It's the promise I need. In fact, some of them will and then upon a year monetary in nature. Constitution review see aye.
Yeah.
And what share even the composition of that committee. And now I mean Professor H. Kwesi Prempeh.
Poster,
yeah. And he admitted. Say he is a fierce critic of the NDC and the previous government. Only see the history with the NDC. Any more M's and say now. Yet to me, but in the past there were hostilities between the relations were very frustrated and no cry. Until he admitted so, me will be an ame NDC abanechi. Now, Mama Penny no, if I yaba we mukrano, he's been critical. There was one of the issues I would draw my attention to the criticism.
Sure.
In the way I hear him, even in this current dispensation. But on my penny, Mama say, oh, and actually. Come and lead this team. Perhaps the fiercest critic on record of the NDC PNDC. So I don't know whether you've read any of his articles. Just say Oja wum papa. Never know so in some ways are not or no can occupy Ghana. Then boy cheat then. But on my opinion, Mama can say because he's critical of us in Sebi or Yenipa. By all means, our PhD. In a certain field, expertise or bit media or a Ghana, in the on your constitution on Shana NCSia. And your bonnet. Why is that not possible? I didn't mean to mean yes, sir. It's the man is one. It's no conveys a certain message. Say there's a new kind of politics. Say the idea say Obi, you've asked me tough questions in tea. Say we invite me to another interview. Why? So what we some tough questions. I'm watching me. So what? And Mammy no because of that I must blacklist you. Na me nko pesi kofansa. They will ask me leading questions. Na me and me dad and who and I say me ye papa bi e dia mo manfo. Inti Mama, that's one thing I've observed about him. He's very fair-minded. In point, and he's will be crabonechi. So he's a bit too, if I say, open and affable for his liking. That there was a day, Tony Senaya.
Yeah, Tony.
So I say, Hosman shoes. Now, Oko social media, and some kitwa. Or bomb my penny, Mama, cheap papa. Yet, on my penny, Mama gave him the biggest endorsement in his life.
Sure.
Nishua Shako said on Nation Address. He pointed this all the cameras in the world. And that was the big turning point for him.
Yeah, it's true.
Indeed, Mamika be show. Abra year preparation towards that soon.
Yes.
On my penny, Mama Car said he will use him more. There were people who raised objection. Who said the branch we are in inside the do at him. People raised objection, but he stood his ground. Those are the years with him at them. So what are they? I think the same couldn't. I'm telling you, people objected. So they be young penny. We ought to do at him. But he stood his ground and said, yes, okay, what can be na answer for time family. But say or your business owner, say nipa and 9 crown wa form edwuma say edwuma no to me cause so bet me after me go be edwuma. Yenya na yeka say edwuma ye wan match. So if he is helping and he can take us some of the bed now, why not? Because of the political views in tea. So I must say. So that is the kind of person he is. So it gives hope. Into when we say nipa do na ya budget so we the man pinia ya. He has shown say look, ya kon to kwa. I don't mean literally. But yeah, politics, but we must appreciate the good in everybody. So we wouldn't be on family. See, yes, sir. Mekai, was it Obama? I think he retained George Bush defense.
Yeah, some of the
defense for about 2 years.
It's true.
Because at the time now there was some conflicts. Afghanistan he needed a certain level of continuity. Nipani a Republican, but he served in a democratic administration. And so almost to me, yes, I don't know to me. Wrong. Change must be comprehensive and yet and it's superficial. And yet this work as yes bibia. Into about we and so I shouldn't be power man same. I share needs for be power and I was say a year near my ye. Nasa and year corona before year. A year before by ya. Say na kwasono. Me meant na hanka. Say NDC will be in power. I even will be power for 12 years, 16 years. Men can be done. Because I have come to respect the Ghanaian voter. They have the right to change their minds at any time. So don't assume. Say no. All my 1.7 million gap in tea. Necessarily 2020. The moment you develop that mindset, you're on your way out of power. And before buying, almost we did not begin. We'll be power for 60 years because we have lost by 1 million votes. They didn't see this coming. Say Fakwa, now electorate, they've changed governments 4 times since 1992. Would you grow? Still, I won't see be in few say they can deal with you at any time they feel like. And you don't stand on a platform and say we'll be in power for 12 years, 16 years. Don't say that. Simply say 4 years now they are mine. You be a drum not any. It is at the point yes had you know. And now you be to many hiding. Yenya endorsement to continue. We must let
green letters me no aba.
Sure.
Baako appointment as acting chief executive officer in the way from Callistus Mahama PhD, secretary to the president, to Dr. Ransford Anete Abbey. That should be Randy Abbey.
Sure, Randy Abbey.
Okay. Into Ghana Cocoa Board, acting CEO. That's on the appointment. It takes effect from 21st January 2025, which is Enne.
Okay.
And a second one, and so a year to Anthony Kwesi Sapon, Ghana Revenue Authority, appointment as acting commissioner general. Into 2 green letters, and Abba and secretary to the president, and Sir Eshe Asye. That's those are very interesting. But Weno brings back the issue of lean government. When President Mahama said lean government, now just ministerial appointment or labor 60. And I said government we don't
presidential staff. Yeah, for me, I said one, but I can show you to come nowhere near what was happening at the end. You see, sometimes you must exercise judgment as a leader, so you don't abuse power. Obi, there can be no justification for going to put 330 people in the president. Flash hours or space to create for 300 people. Yet they were squeezing people like that. What is
330
political appointees? Yeah, I've discounted civil servants. Civil servants there, you can't blame them because they are. In fact, so the civil servants from Kofia. It's a huge problem. Sure. So that one is one issue.
Political appointees.
Political appointees 330 for what? Office of the president for what? Then you create amorphous or necessary positions just to accommodate them. Technical officer 1, technical officer 2, for what? Yeah, that's what my penny worker. Now even political heavyweights, normally they would be in the ministerial list. Many of them are not there.
Yeah.
Sebi, saying, a year political appointees are president.
But who's a Muslim? No. They are not announced. When you are sending the list to Parliament,
it is an announcement anyway.
Details.
When you say delayed gratification,
yes.
Sadness.
Yes.
A announcement anyway. What they call Parliament. Eventually, it will come. Yes, but we will get nowhere near.
How many numbers will be?
I don't think I can put
330. About 200. About 300.
You see, baby, or what? You have objective reality.
Yes.
Sadness.
Yes.
What should you? Obi say before to make action okuma say eduma wo swam mo hia 125 ministers. Me wa hwen so so e dey buy. Did they need 125 ministers? Na omo hia ministers 125 ana. They did it. Obi and every reasonable person him say no mo hia. Na moment was a way of just rewarding people who had worked hard on the political affairs. I had the people to say one na eboa ma aban no etumeti na aban mo chi. But they have lost by 1.7 million votes. So it shows that it is not true. Eye adwuma abeye sisi abebi a oman no won ye ho akire Ghana fo ebre no metu ato de mai ni ayafa me se menye menhwe aban nketawodie so it is only a privilege to serve bibi no mampeni ma me hu mo nti ano nkyere se bibi nyansa sen nya wotie mi anasem nyansa sen ana adwuma de de ahyem won't me you can do it and do it better than me eye adom bi na mampeni aka se o memmoa no it is not a hoda me de be yie so an mase me benya me ho kam na omo etu ato no adakom Ghana can point I'm making
but you be an whole mindset maybe
but we must cultivate that mindset. It's extremely important and nothing na at your yanchment to say at MPP form and you be was a opposition you will not have access to those things again. Your life won't be the same no matter how much you think say when you are the coffee but once you cannot sustain it and you have a for mama inti say you to abama wa eno nche say oman no foto no eye oman na japade enye japade obapade jam now they are the open you don't abuse it. You do what is reasonable in the eyes of all well-meaning men and women. Esa we ye die obi abeja to we die esa fata and this how we man bros Akufo-Addo overdid it. 125 ministers for what? Sadness.
The second term no otter so by
the damage had been done.
Yes,
the damage had been done because you see the issues as well buy no ne in some kind of they didn't achieve anything extraordinary. In fact, Chebeka no cry. The damage they did between 2017 and 2021, and once was on so that was the time they had the most numbers, and that was the time they did the worst. Between 2021 to 2025, they were only firefighting, trying to defense and make up for the damage that had been done. How I know my I be account mine na ye brand numbers almost no between that and nothing worked because the damage had been done.
It is see ocean names.
It's we no yes
42 now.
Yeah, me be say okay. We no ye direct replacement. Say there's a CEO or so you need to replace it.
So replace.
And GRE and pay and really say omo chief executive say nra or resign. You need to replace it. You are not increasing the numbers. You are only replacing. It's even possible say numbers will come from subsequent based on what restructuring you've done and I be sad. Cocoa board say they be na ekopokuka. The abuse we disable and cocoa board. Those is your cocoa board dia. Say o man no kire no na yet ye be raugas mu a there is a certain hope. Because we say $2 billion people am I there so how because around that time that city no so but these days that hope is no longer there. Am a last year omen to be nya senegate lose o make so they will raise man. It's not that no money o money nya no menya because they didn't have credit worthiness. And then cocoa board ka no it is far more than the output. Cocoa for the first time in several years we got less than 500,000 tons of cocoa production. What was once the milking cow of the state, baby, are not saying that's one near you to me external and also aquafor. So I must say, now we'll come here, say, yes, yes, 42.
Yes, 42. 60. In the meaning, say 18 deputies.
Yes, they are placed at the won't get.
And your ministry behind the deputy.
There are ministries they don't need. Baby, they don't need deputy. I mean, there are many ministries.
It means to be many too.
It is possible. Baby, it's a finance. It's huge. Finance, in fact, the finance minister, in some, we come back as a prime minister because of the endorse. It's a lot of work. Ghana for 2 years. So definitely you will need a certain help. It's a no only to a hard. Baby, to say a great. It's also a large. Energy say that look at the challenges. There's a lot power, petroleum, but there are also places it is manageable. You don't need because there are sufficient structures in place. I bet me so you may not need them, so that will happen. But why? For the first time, he had given a number, and this is enormous. He won't go beyond it. So I must say, the government was saying, will sum up to 60. And never that's the only way I'll bet me this assistant. And some assume say every ministry will no. I don't think that will happen. Yes.
Yeah. With that, the regional balance the BBI has been taken care of.
You see, sometimes a certain dynamic will come up. Say you've not fulfilled it. Bolly for I can understand because I fought MP, he's made his contribution fought hard. But almost so entry my also said they have the ultimate prize, president.
Yes, the president is from Bolly. Yeah.
But they have the ultimate, the center of power. If you so they have not offensive. Sure. And then there are other people from, even if not Bolly, but the same ethnic group.
Yeah.
And I so you must balance it.
And yeah, easy.
You see, again, sometimes they sound controversial. Me, something media, if you happen for 1 year, as well for it for me, it shouldn't even matter.
Once they are competent.
Absolutely. And I listen a man 1 year, as well for. So why should it even matter? Say your floor Yakubu and I your floor Kwame now. Doesn't matter. I don't remember the school. I desire you said no papa. Say me sorry the medi edi bi ahwe me ne me to me ye. Yakwan papa. Say we are here obenya ya sabia. Therefore I think we will get there. Of course, but see in a multi-ethnic country and society, you must take care of certain interests. That is the predominant.
But in all of these appointments, is the president aware about the family and friends?
Oh, of course, why not? You see,
in show and run ahead.
You see, your friends, even in advanced country, there are instances. India, see, there was a time and Congress Party. Obi many be a friend Gandhi. From Sonia Gandhi time. It didn't matter because they had other considerations beyond that. But about propriety. One, Nasa no man Penikufor, Dr. Adokufo.
Yeah, no, you
Dr. Adokufo, before Obey defense, no, Ghana Medical Association president.
Sure.
Or seasoned, well respected doctor. And on his own, I even argue. Sanka, Utmidi president, and ye. It is Obey defense minister. The first oil man Penny Kufumiano. It was never an issue. Anya Saboda. Because Obia will say it is clearly based on merit. And I feel so it didn't go beyond a certain limits. What people have a problem with
the number
is a deliberate effort say Obiara or Ben one no able to next when you be. That is what you see. The average voter no or you reasonable. So I say and some would maybe negotiate because you say and shut down happy. You understand the point I'm making? But so we man pro, so that is where the problem is. Well, what share one family all bearing the same name. They are actually related. Yes, a coincidence of name taking. No money now, and you see it everywhere you go. That is what the problem is. So, by the fact say it will be
1 or 2.
I don't say people would. Yes, people may raise, but everybody will see the way it's not an issue because you can't see.
Okay.
Send Adokufo seasoned medical practitioner. Now he's a self-made person. He's built his own profile. It is just a matter of coincidence happening because he has also built a certain profile. So, be the first minister, everybody will assess him on the basis of merit.
Yeah.
So, your man Penny Kufumiano, it's not an issue because he has proven himself. Say Akufo-Addo say Ofolia tape and then finance minister. I don't think it's like that issue. But there was a certain escalation beyond a certain point. It's raised obvious red flags. And I feel so Kano. Because okay, this is clearly a problem. So let us discontinue it.
Okay, but there was some level of impunity.
That is what people dislike. So I don't think we are going to suffer that in this administration.
In this administration.
Yeah. Will do so on the basis of merits.
Even if people start drawing some, say, Mahama, president familial relations, maybe one big person being the party. Now, or familial relation will be
the problem really is that you see, it is the decision maker. It's a conflict of interest.
Okay.
It involves the person making the decision.
Okay.
And the personal benefit to him and as a close relative.
Yeah.
That is actually the issue. Say appoint your authority, appoint to Obi. No appoint to appoint to officer. You are not the one making the decision unless it can be proven that you influence. But it will be difficult to even prove that. So that in itself may not be a problem. It's very fast. Fencing. I just say Ahoy brothers. Mr. Ahoy, or Yale, any MIT, I say Harvard. So or Harvard, MIT. There was a time, I don't know, designing Ghana's modern tax system.
Yeah.
In the mid-80s. Or the power minister, power secretary at the time to restructure energy sector. He discovered the likes of Kandapa, Rekugobe, any fencing, or Germany. You cannot bypass him. We are minister or Sefata. Professor Ahoy,
local
by a Cambridge trained fencing scholar, an expert in local governance. It's yes, or related to Mr. Ahoy, but on his own, he's waiting. What the name Bemwa is in your BN. Mr. Kwakye Ahoy, another high achiever. It's yes, they are brothers. But there's an appointed authority based purely on merit. It is not an issue. But say Mr. Ahoy or president, even if they are qualified, it raises concern. So that there's no semblance of conflict of interest. That really, see, sometimes because of political equalization, we lose sight of the fact that we are addressing an audience, that they are reasonable people. Even if they disagree with us politically, they are still reasonable people.
They are reasonable people.
But if I see, I deal with MP before you, it is reasonable. Why should I go after them? Simply because people have the capacity to, and Ghana have that capacity. They've shown it over and over and over in the way that they voted. They have the capacity to determine. And then they have the capacity to determine, so yes, but it is not malicious. There's really no orchestration, no plan to dominate government by one clan and now one family. They can make that determination. And that is what the issue really is. But nonetheless, people can say, even if people have the right to run commentary. Yes, I grant them that. But at the end of the day, it need to be assessed on the value.
The value judgment.
And people will place weight on it, whether it is what they should consider or this not. But it's what President Mahama would never do. He said he would not go beyond a certain limit. So he won't do it. That is the difference between and some other leaders.
Anyway, Ghana First Movement. Almost a congratulations to Honorable Felix Kwakye Ofosu on his election as MP and nomination as Minister Designate, that Minister of State Designate for Government Communications, from Nana Boateng, Executive Director for the Ghana First Movement, and Odiwe Ede Abba. Quite a number of messages. And Awese Obi, I'm so humbled by the submissiveness of Honorable Ofosu Kwakye. Yes, this is a reminder that those who have been appointed should be mindful and ensure that they serve we the people. Congrats to him. So far, so good. All the appointments are very solid, and we expect that they perform to bring our country back on track from the mess caused by the Nado Bawumia government. Paul de Suso and Ono Ediwe Etumi Abreye. Wese Obi. Is Felix saying the president cannot reward Ibrahim in return for the use of his flight? Ask him, does he remember the contractor for Burkina Faso who bought JM a car and blah blah blah, Pythagoras a theorem, and Onodewe Abrey. Pythagoras theorem.
A long study
okay. Oh, okay.
Texter.
Okay. But there is one issue on Sisia. I think the president's position on the family values
Yes,
bill
exactly.
clear.
Yes.
So see, the position here clear say the bill expired with the 8th Parliament. Into a person or science or reintroduce this time
as a government
sponsored bill. Good. But say or sign the other bill because again he called on Nanado to sign the bill as it was approved by Parliament, no? Then his job is cut out. Or say time the same bill the other Parliament and
there are legal requirements. First of all, what had happened was that Catholic Bishops Conference.
Yes.
I think it was last week, Wednesday or so.
Yes.
Monday, last week Monday, and they called on the president.
Yes.
In fact, now some presidents, but BBC, the delegation was led by the vice chairperson and a vice president. And they had, and I was very impressed with their level of organization. Among who said, yes, this is a solid institution. They had scripted their leader. Oh yes, they are scripted. It was on a letterhead. They are scripted it. It's almost here, the secretary of the delegation handed me a copy. I actually have it somewhere in my documents.
Wow.
So I was really impressed about how structured they were. So yes, there's something to learn about ancient institutions and how they do. Because normally people will come. But there's no reference point. But they came prepared. In fact, and then you will see clearly the issue. I think they had 5 issues. Okay. But the 2 are, in fact, Akko was about post-elections violence. They also raised the argument and raised it, say we seem to have done well with the elections, but there's a certain gap. So they raised that concern. And we raised the issue about LGBTQ. Yes, imagine. Why do we even bother? And now, they wanted to know the president's position. So, and almost raise the issue of RME, religious and moral education. Schools, and then they raise another issue. No, they raise the issue of corruption and drew attention. Said they even had cause to demonstrate at some point over corruption. Until Omanpeni Mahama, not the two that say LGBTQ way, it had elapsed. In fact, he was even magnanimous and gracious to the previous administration. It was because of a Supreme Court injunction. There are some of us who believe say all of that was orchestrated to stay the president's hand kicking. They almost said that but he was even gracious. And also because of the aspirations, some was a seasoned legislator into ISPA. So the process has to start. But Mom also said instead of say a private members, so that will have to take some process to get it through. And now okay say on a software penny for on the issue of religious and moral education. Because on no issue you senka sa adechire no da so wo yankra temu ne ya kire nkwala na enka hu bo nya se ekoye bi obia because ye de sa esu no ebe so omumu omonkwala abro no mentumi antwe omu enfiri ho. So they will grow up with proper Ghanaian family values. Ye de show omumu omonkwala abro ntinka hu ko hia tie san kwa ye emra foforo kran so no hu se so mo twe omu fi su bambone a that is that is all he said. In the reporting, they will say, your friend saying, or Danena, now on person can build the Abba. Meanwhile, in just a second earlier, not Wakase, it should actually be a government sponsored bill. And I think that the time will come for the president.
But the question is, the bill was in a certain form.
Yes.
And the conversation be bring by. Eventually, Parliament approve.
Yes.
The Americans, is it that same bill and he signed the accord? Because the president obviously was in support of that same bill.
There should not be anything wrong with a slight tweak.
With the same content. And as I
said, there should not be anything wrong with a slight tweak or amendment to reflect maybe your current thinking. Any other shit. There should not be that. By all means, the other parliament has to consider. That would be surprising. Because no two parliaments are the same. Composition of parliament can ask. It is possible that those who supported it may be against it, those who were against may support it, based on new thinking and new information. And so it has to go through the process. So that there is some semblance of, if you like, convergence. I wouldn't say unanimity because it may be difficult to achieve based on the kinds of position that are taking. I have my position, you have your position. But at the end of the day, we will meet in the middle. Say, until to go through the process. This is me MP. I thought I'm here fitting me MP. So I may participate in it. Exactly. I may participate in it. But whatever it is, I just say in some of my penica I know we're clear. Nation ye be no. But of course, there are mischief makers all the time. It's your mother and some. And you have the tips, I believe. And as if you don't have it, just a station. Because you will say Joy FM 4, Joy TV 4. So you can take it and review. To be honest, as one American here, I was in there. And the Catholic bishops, they had their prepared position. So it was very clear. And they were happy with the answer. And Catholic Church, they are very strong in some countries. No? They are more powerful than governments.
Sure.
Oko Kongwa, there was a very famous Catholic priest. Anytime I talk about man, he was the one who because of the respect that they had for the institution of the Catholic Church. So, sorry, say, Penny and say ye now, they would have heard their view.
Executive to me, the bills banned a certificate of agency.
That is true.
Would this be one of them?
I think say the truth is that you were as someone, they say emergency no
yes.
I don't know anything is one of them. It's a worrying issue.
Okay.
But I see a tree
Okay.
because a bella and one association it be was so I saw two now when a certificate of emergency is required, it's a near my yan and there and you have people play your china and I know when you answer. But I think I see a map. At least let the ninth parliament have the opportunity to look at it and say what we want to see about it. So this is why I've been changing on family. But what is clear to say, an overwhelming majority of Ghanaians and for that's by the so. Into a buying a sudi, see a bit a man for us. But of course, at the same time, so I was here to say, yeah, my crime will be in 5 nations and someone what things will be because of perception be a war. So that is also important. See, that's why we must do things properly. Now, Uncle yet, since the uncle Moby, none of uncle for Hawamba, not what's now better. Obviously, we don't do this will be saying now with TNT, we should avoid that. It is
extremely much. I would say, or more than another contest here for flag bearer, no, or more positions, or more than Mahama contest or more positions.
I don't think so.
Into names like Sylvester Mensah, no, Joshua Labi, Spio Gabra, Kojobo, Sukamanado for
Joshua Labi. In fact, he was Mahama's fiercest contestant.
I know,
but he was his campaign manager.
Yes.
Sly was instrumental in drawing up the NDC manifesto. Now, President Mahama engaged a consultant on the name of Bibili. Kojobo, despite his criticism of President Mahama, was welcome around Mahama. In terms of the campaign, he played his role. There's really no issue. Say, Ebia, or Mubi in your position, it has nothing to do with any contest. Sabi, and Obi to me far a critic outside of his party.
How much more
exactly. So there's really no issue. And now, in the last prime minister, they were so overcome and said there was no contest. Basically, there was no contest. And why would you bear a grudge against it? But I don't think that there's an issue. And now, the first and another year, you know that you see the dynamics are different in every party. It is obvious. Say, and President Mawaka said he will assemble the youngest cabinet in Ghana's history.
Is he achieving?
Well, I think we share average age now from it's quite low.
I think so.
Oh, absolutely, it's quite low. It's quite low. So we analyze, we see that it is.
But this is here, no. Of the 23 ministries, no, only or more forming a cabinet. Apart from Ebia Finance Attorney General.
I think cabinet. We use the term cabinet loosely to mean government.
Of course.
Yeah, that's a loose use of the term. So let us not restrict ourselves to just 19. I think something else.
Yeah, I get you.
We use it loosely to mean. In fact, elsewhere the cabinet is everybody. The cabinet is everybody who is a minister and a secretary. But that is the context within which you use it. It doesn't mean say 19 because sometimes 19 your hands are tight. I don't know, doesn't give you much. Even the composition because sometimes even which ministry to leave out, which one to bring in. It varies. It varies. Government to government. So gender, children, and social welfare must come in. Obviously, no, lands and forestry must come in. It's that permutation. It's not. In fact, it may be the next challenge. After so many ministers say who to even be in cabinet, and how you bet your major. It's not the right way to use. How do you feel and respond? I say, my opinion, that all those things come in. It's a slippery slope. So a lot goes into it.
And for young men like Dr. Ayemo Monso Boy, what are you doing with them?
Oh, of course, they have a role to play. May Dr. Ayemo or you be a first time or started.
He's good.
Or started Eddie Mechi in Cape Coast. Oh, okay. Or man was sending a message. Let me share that. Eventually, we met through a mutual. Okay. Into a brilliant young man. So he has so many options. Oh yeah, I mean, you winning 2008 election. It was my first real experience. I played an active role. At no point in that emergency, we win position. I didn't really think of that until see a winning election. In fact, you winning election, something happened. And then you declare, let's not make a member person. Yeah, boy, but we are now. Mr. Atwawe, opinion says, I said that, saying, yeah, about some man. He called me. Me fire no, he thanked me for helping with the campaign. Yes, or that
was 2009.
2009. It was January 2000. I think 2nd January.
Yeah.
Of friend Damasi, and that thing really touched me. In fact, it was enough for me as someone who had contributed. Say, BB and CBM
okay.
So at least opinion at this ano. For me, I was more than happy to harass the MPP. It's me and Grabenia just said not that you're material BB, but the man saw what the contribution, and he actually did that for all the young people who took part in there.
Wow.
So I must say, I took a decision and said no. I need to build my capacity further because the Akano were new. Sometimes there's really no rush in these things. And then my Minister of State.
Yeah.
And that is 2009 to how many years?
That should be
17 years.
17.
Yes, that's 17 years ago.
Yeah.
So me assure I met me a pray up a baby. If I may buy, maybe the first say be special assistant for some time. I didn't rise immediately.
Yeah,
Minister of State. So sometimes you bide your time.
Yeah.
And it is sound advice. One share anybody don't want to see almost to say be one person must be coming. But you must build capacity, build yourself for the not too distant future.
But do they do that under studying directly Mumpenny?
Oh yes,
and they do that from a distance.
Yeah, na me Ablakwa, Dr. Mani, Emiliata, you're free University of West Legon.
Yeah.
Unimo. University
Oh, okay.
Because the first day, the coffee honor. Na ACJ, na me NDC. For some reason, I was invited to come for the meeting through Ablakwa.
Yeah.
In Ablakwa, I did say one family. I'm not McQuay na Kwesi Pratt. Dr. Percy, when you do corner and say, Mr. Atwawe, Chichu Puku. There's another gentleman called Kwesi. Do you don't know, but he's a solid fencing.
Oh, okay.
Socialist politician. Sangofowi. Then somehow there's a certain test. They beside random questions on current developments. Then on my assignment to go and draft a statement on the sale of Ghana Telecom, citing some examples in it to bring for them to CJU with the likes of for us to release. I was charged at that tender age to draft the statement. It is meant to me and say I mean you will get stage fright. But made this statement no call, I received a call from no less person than Kwesi Pratt, expressing complete delight and total shock at the quality of the statement that I produced.
Wow.
So a shaming crime.
Wow.
So in Kakra, then they started giving me my first TV program. Now I'm gonna me call. Mene Franka Jokum, no a deputy information minister. Listen here, your first yesterday to kill university.
Oh really?
Yes.
Wow.
And I'm in the coffee so Japan Korea, he also called in to acknowledge my contribution.
Okay.
But one of the most touching moments I could do by read. And I'm a second year student. There kind budget, no kind budget. And I'm say there were indications that fuel prices were cost. Chemistry student, yeah, control exam the following day. Eja me did 10 years into me the whole semester. And now, no one could do math. Could you have not that this is not angel level.
Oh, okay.
No, we see program B. This must be 2006 or so. 2006, 2007. And not friends, so Felix. Yeah, but discussing budget. Into your sober. Into make us say, dear, MP complicated bina, meneno, Ekushi. Those is not the canon that I didn't know. Yeah. Into us, be your movie. Yeah. Now, so, I mean, when I was you, finance, no, so what I thought, finance minister say, now, me, your friends say, finance minister say, I'm going to be our Kediago. But it is to Kodoba reduce eternal credit. Say he agreed
to debate
a second year student.
Kodoba
yes, he agreed to debate me.
Oh wow!
He agreed, except that when to me and Matthew, so he did it by phone from Accra. Yeah. But he agreed. I was even shocked. I'm not meaning now. He took my number from the police and called me to commend me for the quality of my arguments against him.
Wow!
And that's Neni agye de maye no ho nti me nkoso na da hye bia.
He was a different kind of politician.
Nti me ni so no. From that day till that owuye. So I say. So me ka kosi say sometimes progression takes time, but you must progress properly. Nti that obey imagine no, you can we say ye. And sometimes akwenya ba say ya, there are many who make the wrong choices. Once I know now you can't make any headway, but so build on incrementally, gradually. People take different paths. Obi so wa or you whisk it naturally. The elevation is be obey and so they emerge very quickly and they continue to rise. Obi so wa it takes a bit of time. Until you una say wo hwe say na wo usu ban tie anyone ho odin na wo hwe sinto e wo ho ene sa akwenya aba no e de na betumi de aye de aboa wo ho na wo de asiesie ho for that until de bia me hia ememu ete sa na me tu omfo say just do self introspection hwe wo ho na hwe say den and make the right choice because akwentu na wa enye 4 years ipe ene NDC ye beba ba mu said manu de sumina BBC ni efi abemu 2028 I was about biom at some point but I best have biom no would you be in a position to emerge and compete for what would be limited space as we go forward now until I think say those are some of the things are
Felix, that's it's been an exciting interview. Me that's papa and I always said so you be veto, right?
Yes, I'll go for veto.
Good. Into Uri na approval never. Sure. I mean, a brand sense wedding. I wish you very well.
But I'm also best. But I'm also to say, yeah, that's a power. Yeah, shall say Nancy, but we are still around. You see, any opportunity, Benya, you're not being common. I think you've maintained the quality and standard of your program. It still is a force to reckon with in the afternoon segment.
Yeah, that's a part of the show. And the Felix Kwakye Ofosu and the attaining Ekosiisen Suni, a higher Sempa 94.7 FM. Dr. Asante et Nasi, we are the sports night, Ebebremo. Medin your